there in front of me, and a special guest sitting just to Bam Bam's left over there, Mr. Aaron Presley.
Yeah.
From 360 Pro Wrestling. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing good, living the dream.
Look at that. We got folks watching us out there. Hey, how y'all doing?
Coming by, waving.
Yeah, they got school started here.
Yeah.
Yeah, got school started here, so we're going to have people walking by and saying hi and waving. Sometimes they'll stop and listen to us, so we have to say something smart while they're out there, you know. But anyway, Aaron is our really our live event promoter. He runs 360 Pro Wrestling, which is associated with Texas Style Wrestling, and by that we will be associated with the National Wrestling Alliance real soon. So, Aaron, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good, James. Doing really good. It's always funny to how the NWA, how we always seem to find our way somehow back to that.
Isn't it, though?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm doing really good. Happy to be here.
Yeah, you got something coming up pretty soon in Rogers, Texas.
Yeah, Rogers, Texas, September the 7th. We just wrapped up in Belton. Incredible event. And but yeah, September 7th in Rogers, bringing in Damian Wayne, who you remember from NWA National Champion.
Yes, Damian was a national champion, also a tag team champion in NWA back in those days, and then great wrestler, great guy. I've always enjoyed working with Damian.
Right, and it's a pretty sweet elbow drop off the top rope.
Oh, dude, he's amazing.
Yeah, kind of a Randy Savage-ish sort of. Yeah, and you got him going against Big Brent, right?
Oh yeah, Super Tex Brent McKenzie. He's our 360 Pro heavyweight champion.
He keeps slipping away with that thing somehow.
It's somehow, some way, he blames it all on you.
Well,
I know that.
I know he does, but Charlie Haas has a little to do with that.
Yeah, I would say so. Charlie's incredible, looking incredible. Probably the best shape of his career right now.
Love Charlie. Yeah. I'm happy for him. He's happy and doing well. He's actually coaching wrestling at a high school in
Fort Myers,
Florida. Yeah, and doing well. I'm proud of him.
Yeah, he sent me a picture yesterday of his keys with his tag for the school. It's official.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah, how awesome for him, man.
Yeah,
it's such a cool. Yeah, I mean, he deserves it, man. I'm so happy to see him doing well.
Oh, and when you're around the boys, the boy Russ and Chuck are just so. I mean, great kids, but they're so talented in amateur wrestling, even professional wrestling.
So were his girls.
Yeah, so are the girls. Yeah,
they're athletic.
Soccer is, I think that's their thing. I know Charlie's getting them ready to go to college too, and he's really, talk about preparing them. That's one of the things I think he's going to be pretty incredible at as a high school coach, is getting these kids ready for college, and getting them sent out there.
Well, he taught or coached younger kids like with Chuck and all back here in Texas before we left here. Yeah. So he's had some experience doing that, but I think he's going to be an incredible high school coach.
Oh yeah, I think that's going to be more of his wheelhouse. I think working a little more established, not having to build from the ground up.
Absolutely.
I think that's going to be awesome for him.
Right. Yeah. I see him being a state champion.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. He'll get them there. I guarantee you.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. Charlie's just that kind of guy. Yeah. And inspirational for sure. Speaking of pictures, you're talking about that picture of Brent at the end of the matches in Big Spring.
A face.
I wish we had that here somewhere. I just shook my head. So, oh boy,
Charlie hit him with that belt, knocked him out for about 15, 20 minutes. I think
he didn't move.
There were kids taking pictures at the side of the ring, and those are those photos I think that'll probably last their lifetime.
Well, Charlie laid the belt on his back, and he had some brass knucks.
Oh yeah.
I took them away from him, and I thought, well, I might as well give this back to him too. So I just throw that on his back, and he's just laying there,
just sprawled out.
It's pretty funny. But tell us about this live promotion thing, because TSW is basically the recording part of this thing, the TV tapings and that kind of thing. I'd say TV tapings. It's actually streaming, but it'll be part of TEXtv when it launches.
Right.
Of course, so will 360.
Right.
But you run the live events.
The live event, that's kind of become my thing, I think. I don't know how. It's one of them you always ask, like, how you end up in these positions. But I think just after years and you having the experience, with 360 we started so long ago, and then when Main Event, when we were with NWA, took off, and we were drawing some really incredible houses, and for I don't know, a handful of years that was that way. You're just putting on so many events with high production value that you're kind of just forced to learn, every little thing you can, you never stop learning, but for producing a live event, you can kind of have your A through Z.
I think that's an important thing that a lot of independent promoters overlook, or at least they don't go as far as you go with it. But the presentation is a big part of it.
Very, very big part of it. People are so conditioned with watching the highest level, whether it be WWE or AEW or any of that. They're pretty conditioned to video packages, and to a lot of the fans, this is just what it is.
Yeah.
So anything less than that, we obviously can't compete with those production values, and never we want to try. But you can, nowadays with audio video, you can really tell some stories and catch these fans maybe that just bought a ticket because we're in their town, catch them up on what's going on, and they can become invested.
And they're surprised, I think, sometimes when they come to one of your promotions, because it is so highly produced, and the presentation is such a professional presentation, that they get, and that's part of the enjoyment of being there, is seeing all that, the visual and all that.
It has nothing to do with me. I promise you.
I don't believe that at all. I mean, you've been pretty creative with that. I mean, I understand in Belton you use some of your rodeo experience, which is something else we need to talk about. But,
right. You just use the tools at your disposal.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a venue, sometimes that's a fire truck, sometimes that's bucking bulls.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've been to one of your promotions where the bulls were involved, and it gets kind of interesting. We ended up in the stalls, and I was kind of worried about maybe being in the stalls with one of them.
With one of the bulls. Yeah.
Yeah, let me tell you, it got a little rough.
It's, those animals will, and I'm testament to it, they'll hurt you permanently.
Yeah. Well, talk about that a little bit, though, because that's your background. I mean, you do rodeo announcing. In fact, they produced a really nice video about you, just the whole thing.
Yeah,
I'm sure that'll end up on TEXtv too.
It is. It'll finally get to air on TEXtv. It started in like 2019, right before COVID, and originally it was supposed to be about the wrestling and the rodeo stuff. And when COVID happened, it kind of shut everything down. But they've been following me for like the last half of, I think, that year or something.
Yeah.
And when COVID happened, I thought, well, that's it. It's incomplete. Maybe one day it gets picked up. I doubt it. And then out of nowhere, the cinematographer, Bo Parton, hit me up and said, hey, what would you think if I took some of this footage and tried to do something with it? And I said, no, I think that'd be all right. He goes, oh, good, because I already did. So he sent it to me, and, it's one of those things it's one thing to grind and you're in the, the trenches for so long, and sleeping in bus stations, sleeping in people's couches, sometimes sleeping at the arena.
That's what I was going to say. That video thing started, you said 2019, but your relationship with rodeo goes way back before that.
Oh yeah, when I was my mom was a barrel racer.
Yeah.
And you just, in Texas, it's one of those things you kind of just, whether you like it or not, you're surrounded by it. And luckily I liked it. When I was little, we always have team rope-ins and stuff, but we'd have to work them. But as kids, we wanted to ride the steers at the end of the night. So that's what we did. We ran around, we'd bulldog one, put a steer rope on, turn him loose, and ride him across the arena until he'd fall off or he'd stop.
Yep.
And just kind of, just like anything, whether you're playing t-ball or flag football, it evolves. And one point in time, I was skinny and had a chance to, every time I did it.
Back when you looked like a bull rider?
Yeah. And then before you know it, your man weight comes in.
Yeah.
And in 2006, I got hurt really, really bad, the last one I got on. And I actually got on that bull twice that night. And I paid for it. It hurt me tore everything. Just I couldn't tell if I felt it or heard it.
Yeah.
It's just like a firecracker. And but I lost all the use of my arm.
Oh, man.
And a little bit of liquid courage had me load him again.
Yeah.
And stupidity. And I remember when I had to have my buddy put the rope on him when I was lowering down. I couldn't even support myself to lower myself down on him. And when I couldn't even close my hand, I had to like physically close my hand and walked up, sat on top of it. And as long as I live, I'll remember this. I remember thinking, this is the dumbest thing you've ever done in your life.
Yeah, I've been thrown off a few animals myself, and I know that's you really need to learn how to take a bump there.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah, usually it's one of those deals.
Yeah, gravity.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of strength in those animals mixed with gravity, and you will find the earth in ways you never thought possible. But that night, he ended up slamming me, and of all the places I landed on this one. And so it was kind of like the equivalent of jumping off your garage shoulder first, and I've had to deal with that since then. So
We were talking about rodeo, but it really kind of associated with wrestling in a lot of ways. I remember my first PBR event that I went to, and I kept watching. I was thinking, they stolen everything we do.
I'm telling you, back Mac Altizer, Bad Company Rodeo. Mac, we kind of regard him as like the Vince McMahon of rodeo.
Yeah.
Because before then, if you were to go to the Mesquite Rodeo or most, you might have a band and a ding, 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 ding when something was happening. Well, in came Mac Altizer and Bad Company Rodeo, and now the bulls are named after, Funky Cold Medina or Bad to the Bone. And so they became superstars, and in the process, so did the riders as well.
Yeah, and that started a while back. Bodacious was I guess, one of the first superstar bulls.
Mega star.
I saw Tough try to ride him a few times and fail.
Yeah, I watched him crush Tuff Edeman's face as a kid. Yeah. It was.
God, man, and those guys, I grew up riding and racing motocross, and I've hit the ground hard, really hard.
Yeah.
But there's just something, I respect the absolute hell out of those guys, because, I'll jump on a 450cc motorcycle that's really, really fast, but I can control it. I know everything it's going to do.
One of the differences in that is you might get thrown off of it, but it won't come chasing you down.
And that's, exactly.
And some of those bulls will definitely do that.
Yeah. You may get caught up underneath it or something like that, but once you get away from the bike, it's not turning its head and chasing back after you full speed.
Yeah, I'm more of a 100cc type of guy.
Yeah.
I put her down the fence line. That's kind of my.
I might get on a moped. That's my speed.
But then, I think getting on the back of a bull is the craziest thing in the entire world. But it's
one of those things that. I played football too in college and stuff like that. You get that competitive spirit, and it's one of those things where you're not competing against other people, you're competing against yourself. And so when you hit the ground, you're like, gosh, I want to do it. If you got a competitive bone in your body, you're like, I want to do it again. And then you end up getting hurt, and you're like, oh, that sucks. But once you're like, okay, I'm all right. Everything works.
I've known some rodeo guys, and of course, being in wrestling, I see a lot of the same kind of mentality in wrestlers and rodeo guys, especially bull riders and bronc riders. They've got that same kind of. You got to be a little crazy to do this.
Yeah, you do. You got to have a screw loose. They're so similar, and probably the same like with motocross, supercross and stuff. These guys, they travel around. Sometimes they ain't got, the only thing they own is what's in their bag that they're carrying with them.
Exactly.
And inside and outside the ring, they're like that. When I was playing music, we backed up Mayhem when he was trying to be a singer for a while, and we were around a lot of those guys.
Right.
And musicians, athletes, bull riders, motocross riders, they've all got a little bit of nuts in them.
Yeah.
There's something out of whack somewhere.
That's why we all have that kindred spirit, I think.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, and you have to have a few screws loose. Wrestling, I mean, even football at the highest level, especially bull riding. I mean, when we step into the ring, when you slide onto the bull, when you're at the gate, at the starting gate of a race, we all know the risk that we are taking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We know this could be the final time that we walk on our own 2 feet.
Right.
And we decide to go ahead and take that risk anyways.
And unfortunately that happens sometimes.
And it does.
Yeah.
And it's extremely sad when it happens, and it happens to friends of ours and family members of ours. But even with that, you just had to put that out the back of your mind, and you're there to do a job, just go do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you got, Aaron, you got into, after you rode, after you decided you don't have a bull riding you for a while, you got into the announcing side of it, and that's what that video was about, and gradually, or at some point, you got involved in announcing for wrestling, and you did an amazing job with it. That's an important part that right from the beginning, it sets the tone for everything. And that's, I think that's very important, and not just in rodeo, but in our business as well.
Each one kind of serves the other. When I first started announcing, I was still riding bulls and starting to examine that other part of it just for fun, And I grew up hearing Boyd Paul Hamus, who announces national finals. He always did our big rodeo in town, and I would just do what I heard him do for fun, playing around. And somehow, some way, I got invited, booked to come do one in the last minute. It was the Brent Thurman Jr. PBR, and I couldn't hook up a sound system. I didn't know what to do. I drove a Miata, a convertible Miata out there. I think I was in a baseball cap, didn't even have a cowboy hat at that time, and the people there just kind of helped me hook it up, and I did such a horrible job that someone came and took the mic from me. Some old rodeo announcer, he's like, "I got it, kid." And so it's tough to get started like that, and then because you get embarrassed to a point you want to quit.
Yeah,
a lot, and then your equipment, as you go along, your equipment will fail. You don't know how to troubleshoot it. So fast forward 15 years. And you kind of start to get a handle on it, and but it's still, like I say, each one served the other. Sometimes in rodeo, I can be put up in a booth or a box, and I can hide from everybody. I'm just up there talking, reading stuff on a piece of paper. They don't see me, no interaction. When you step foot in that squared circle, and you see the whites of everybody's eyes, and you trip over that rope, everybody sees it.
Yeah.
Anything like that. You stumble on your words, and these fans, they'll let you know.
Yeah.
And I've had a few embarrassing moments. So you go from Patterson, Texas to Patterson, Louisiana, and get your states wrong, and Yeah, you're a Louisiana dummy.
Yeah, but you really do kind of set the tone for the night as the announcer, because I know now a lot of times as a promoter you get in and set the tone, and then you let somebody else announce the matches during the event. But at ours at TSW, when we're doing our tapings and stuff, you do the whole enchilada, I guess you'd say.
Right. Yeah. And nowadays, like I say, when you run in the show, there's 1,000 things that you're responsible for. You end up in a headset or sitting over there, communicating, just making everything happen. And now, bringing up Jordan Lee is fun, and
she does a great job.
She does an amazing job.
Yeah, and she's just so brand new to that role.
Yeah,
and she takes critiques and constructive criticism so well that you just don't see that a lot.
And I think
she got that voice for it.
Yes,
I mean she's a lot of times somebody, they look good and all that kind of thing, but they just don't project the way they should. But she has a way of making everything sound important.
Right.
And I think that's a big part of announcing in wrestling or anything else really. Right. But for our business, that's really important because you got to make everybody sound like you're somebody.
You do.
And she has a good way of doing that.
And she has such a personality for it, too. I mean, just when she does speak, and same with you, Aaron, you make me want to listen to what you're saying. And then as a performer, we appreciate that so much because there's so many times that I've been on shows and the announcer is just one steady tempo, and it's almost like he is just reading, or she is, just reading off an index card. There's no personality behind it, and if we can't buy it, then how is the crowd going to buy it?
Right.
I tell announcers, even when I'm in some of these independent shows and things, that you want to make everybody you announce sound as important as possible.
Right? Yeah.
If they've got some kind of history or some kind of legacy in the business, whether it's a championship or a Hall of Fame honor or whatever, make it sound big, and it's not an ego thing. Even myself, I know it's kind of cool. I mean, I got to admit, Aaron put together this intro package for me, and I'm refereeing matches, and it's really cool. But it's not just for me. It's a matter of making everybody you got in your promotion sound important.
Yeah,
it's a big deal. To do that.
Yeah, and going back to like the production side of things real quick, like that's such a huge difference to the crowd. I mean, when they are able to see video, and I mean, so many times at these independent shows, like you just don't have the production, and that's okay. Not everyone has to have the amazing production, but when you go from a really great production and you go back to one that's not great, it just makes you realize how important everything is, and the crowd just so able to join so much more. I mean, they're able to catch up on what's going on in the matches. You can tell those stories. It's no longer just a spot show where you just have so and so versus so and so. You can tell those long, detailed stories.
And even if you don't have the production, at least the announcer can announce people in a way that makes them sound important, or at least tell people who they are. If you go to a promotion and you don't have all of that, and you don't have an intro for a guy like myself, which is that's just freaky, but it's cool. But if you don't have all of that, the announcer can tell the people out there who may not know otherwise, hey, this guy is a Hall of Famer, or this guy is a former champion, or anything. Right. But it sets the tone for the fans to understand, they're just watching some other guy. They're watching somebody who just achieved something.
Exactly.
Right. You can kind of how I look at it. I know in my role now, I love getting to ring announce at TSW. It's kind of you get stretching your legs out a little bit, but I kind of look at it. You're the lifeblood to these people. You're the one lighting the gasoline on fire.
Yeah.
So I always try to make it a point to get them right here, get them right there in your hand, and then I hand them off.
Yeah.
And let them know that it's okay to have fun. It's okay to make some noise. And a lot of the times I think people get a little self-conscious. So I love it when there's a lot of kids in the room, and but once they get past that threshold of worrying what people think, and that's when it gets fun. That's when the magic will happen.
Well, and I love the way you typically, when you come in, you acknowledge the crowd as well. And you always try to point out the people who had military service, for one thing.
Right.
Before we do the national anthem and that kind of thing. And I think that makes the people kind of feel, I'm part of this now.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a big deal. And not only that, but I think it's just really cool to acknowledge the people that have served.
Yeah, I love this country. If you cut me open, red, white, and blue is going to pour out of this body. Yeah. And for the people that have served this country, even our first responders, our police officers, our firemen, and so forth. But our people who have served this country in any branch of the military, I mean, it'll bring a tear to my eye.
Yep.
There's not a time where if I see someone with a Vietnam cap or something like that, I'm going to shake their hand. A police officer, I'm going to shake their hand. And that's just a way that I feel like we can just honor them. That I don't know. That's just my thing. And I saw Aaron Watson do it way back when. And I thought that is one of the most powerful things, and to just take that moment for them you know, takes a few, just not much breath,
Yep.
not too many seconds, but it means the world, and we couldn't do any of this without them.
Yeah, I think that's an important part of this. The whole thing is making the fans feel a part of this,
Right.
And that's what we want to do with TSW for sure. And I know you do with 360 as well. Is making the fans feel like, you know, this is their promotion.
Yes.
This is their show, their event,
Right.
and you can't do that by acting like you're something better than they are.
Right.
You know, you bring them in and try to make them feel as welcome as possible, and that's a great way to start a show out. It is acknowledging the military and the first responders and that sort of thing, and that's just I think it's so important.
You know, that's what this country is built on.
Yep, absolutely, yeah.
And I just think as long as I do this, that's something will always be important to me, and I hope that I can pass on to the next generation that they care like that. You know.
When you're doing TSW shows, though, that's not the end of it. You got to deal with some of these guys. You know, where you're doing a lot of the interviews at the ringside when we do those. I think we just showed one a few minutes ago, and yeah. Those can be kind of interesting sometimes.
Yeah, you know, when you catch these larger than life superstars, you know, and that's what they are. They're live action superheroes, and when the dial is turned all the way up, and they're coming right out of that ring, you're going to get 1,000% of what they bring to the table, and sometimes it gets a little scary, you know. But you know, navigating those waters can create some incredible moments. Just incredible moments.
Yeah, and it's an important way for us to continue to make our fans understand these guys, know these guys. I think it's an important part of wrestling is having that connection with the fans, that they care about the wrestlers. They may not like some of them,
right?
You know, but they care about them one way or the other.
Right.
You know, have some kind of emotional attachment to them.
Absolutely. That's why it's so much fun, like, to pick your brain about stuff, and he'll hear Bill tell some of the stories of showing up to the dealership with Carrie, and you know, they swarm the car like the Beatles. You know, that type of connection with the people is what we ultimately are trying to achieve.
And speaking about that, on October 12th. This is going to be our initial event as an NWA franchise, or partnership, however you want to call it. We're going to be an NWA promotion, which I'm excited about because I have such a history with NWA, and that's going to be a special night. We'll have some NWA talent here competing, and before that event, what we're planning is my friend John Layfield, JBL to wrestling fans. We're going to have a special kind of get together with fans to do exactly what you're talking about. Is instead of just having signing autographs and you know, it's kind of impersonal kind of thing like that, we're gonna have a special event where the fans can actually come in and listen to us tell stories and ask questions, and you'll be a part of that as well, because it kind of has to have somebody to stick the microphone in our, you know, and maybe prompt us a little bit sometimes if we, you know, when we get to talking about things. And I think that's going to be an exciting thing for us to do.
Yeah, I remember hearing when I first got in, and you hear guys complaining about the drives or complaining about this, and that gets tedious. But growing up, those were the things I looked the most forward to. Yeah, getting to hear the stories, getting to, you know, like, to me, that is, as a wrestling fan, still, those are the things I want to know. You know, it's crazy when you find yourself surrounded by the people you grew up looking up to. Yeah, and you never think that you'll be sitting there with, you know, a Kevin Sullivan or a James Beard or a Charlie Haas that can sit there, or Jazz, and give you these first-hand accounts of these things that you just wondered about your whole life. You know, and they can tell you, oh yeah, well, that day I had a chicken fried steak and then did this. You know, to me, that's the neatest thing ever, because as a kid, I'm reading the magazines, I'm just visualizing, you know, dreaming, wanting to be here, do this one day, not knowing how it's going to happen. But so those things like that I get a joy out of, that I don't know if everybody does. But.
Yeah, I absolutely do. I mean, some of my biggest childhood heroes I call a friend now. Yeah. And you know, how crazy is that? And you know, how blessed we are to find the path that we had and to be where we're at.
And that happens to all of us.
Yeah.
You know, I think about my first experiences with wrestling, and even as a fan, as a kid, you know, going to the Sportatorium when I was 8 or 9 years old, and I see Red Bastien and Johnny Valentine and Danny McShane and Bull Curry and the Kozak brothers and all those old guys, you know, that I watched and were heroes of mine. And then I, at some point when I get into this business, I become friends and actually work with some of them.
Yeah.
And it's just such a almost a surreal thing to experience, to get to that point to where you're not only just hearing the story, but you become part of some of those stories.
Right.
You know, and you know, that's something I'm proud of. You know, I'm proud of being able to do that. You know, and pass it along. And I think that's important that the fans get a little bit of the inside. Sometimes we have to open ourselves up to that to make them care about us.
Yeah, and let them see that you're a human being as well. You know, that you deal with the same struggles they deal with. You know, it's not easy to get over that hurdle of doing something that's important to you when you're growing up.
Yeah.
You know, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And I think for those of us that did take that leap and stuck it out, they live vicariously through that.
Yep.
You know, because sometimes, you know, real life happens, families happen, all kinds of things happen, and they don't get that opportunity. So having the chance for them to get to know everybody a little bit better, I think it's just a beautiful thing.
Makes them care. And, you know, it's really easy in this business, and you know, I was in music before that. It's easy in that and any kind of entertainment to become a little bit jaded and maybe a little standoffish sometimes because you're so busy, and it's understandable to some degree. But I think it's important to stop and realize that you know, you're just another one of those guys that used to be a fan yourself.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me how similar the experiences are if you go down through history, you know. And then if you talk to some of those older guys that I learned from, they were the same way.
Right.
You know, they learned or they were fans at one time, most of them, and they found that same learning experience, you know, and it just kind of keeps repeating itself over and over again. And if you get too jaded in anything, you know, whether it's this business or another business, if you get too jaded and don't share a little bit of yourself, I think you're missing out on something.
Yeah.
Right. No, you're right too. And I think like anything, you do it all the time and every day, and you know, it becomes a job real quick.
Yeah.
And but you know, kind of a brain fart there, but yeah, you do become jaded. And I know personally, for my reasons that I got into the business are nowhere near the same as they are now.
Yeah.
The reasons I do this now are so totally different from why I got in. You know, and that you get to a point kind of where I don't really want that attention anymore. You know, okay, I've had enough of that. You know, and I think once you can kind of get away from that is when you really find yourself. You know, you're doing it for the right reasons and stuff
you
like that.
and you have to absolutely love this. You know, there is no faking your way through this. I mean, there's been several times, I know, at least in my career, and I'm sure there's even more in your career, James and Aaron, like where things aren't going the way you think they were going to, and you have to sit there, look at yourself in the mirror, and go, "What am I doing? Do I step back? Do I pull out?" But you know, I don't know. Something I always keep in the back of my head is, what would 12-year-old Chase do if he were to see where I was at right now?
Yeah.
And you know, if a younger self was able to see where I'm at and what I've already done, he would think that's the coolest thing in the world. Right. So now I want him to see what I'm going to accomplish, what I'm going to do. And I do love this. I love this with all my heart. You know, if this were taken away from me right this instant, I'd be devastated. And no matter how long the long, hard days of either in the gym or on the road, you know, you don't want to drive 16 hours round trip that day. It's not always fun, but you know, you don't do it necessarily for the fun all the time. You do it because you love it.
Right.
And I wouldn't have it any other way. You know, some days I hate those 8-hour long drives, but if if I had to, I'd get in the car and do it again tomorrow. Like, it's just, we love this, and you have to have that passion for it, because there is no faking your way through this.
No.
If you don't have the passion and love for it, then man, you're in for a world of hurt.
we talked. You and I have talked about this, and on a previous episode of this podcast, and about there comes a time, and it's happened to me. When I felt like I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm frustrated, and we talked about that with the promotion that we talked about.
Yeah.
That we had things rolling, and all three of us were involved in that, and things were really cooking. And then all of a sudden, it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
And for not really good reasons.
Right.
And you feel like, yeah, I'm done. That's it. And then I think about that thing that Akbar told me. He told me, if you're ever really in this business, you can't retire from it.
Yeah.
You either die or quit getting booked. And somehow it always seems to come back around. And I had no idea that it had come back around the way it has with this promotion, with Texas Style Wrestling, especially when I look around at where we are right now in this high-tech studio and this unbelievable place that we're in, the OC. And the arena that we have to work in, and all the facilities that we have here to work with, and the opportunities to do what we can do with TEXtv when it launches.
Yeah.
And I think, a few months ago, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And all of a sudden, now I'm excited about it again.
Yeah.
And an old guy like me shouldn't get that excited. You may have a heart attack or something.
Yeah.
but I do. I enjoy this too much. For that. It's ingrained in me. It's a part of my life. It's what I am. It's just like with music and wrestling is the same way. It's who I am, and I can't not do it.
And getting past, like, the promotion that we brought up earlier, all three of us were involved with SWE, and even if you could see the writing on the wall, it still doesn't make it any easier.
No.
When the plug does finally get pulled, and I relate to it. It's almost like the toxic relationship.
Yeah.
You don't want to leave it. You know how good it could be. So you stick it out, and then when it finally does get, yanked out from under you, it's not going to make it hurt any less.
Yeah.
Man, so, it's hard to pick yourself up from that and continue forward. And luckily, all three of us did. And, we're still trucking along. We moved right into TEXtv and, Texas Style Wrestling. And, I don't think we could have landed in a better place.
No, I don't look at it negatively really so much anymore, other than it's disappointing.
Exactly.
It was a very good wrestling promotion.
Yeah.
And it was doing a lot of good. And really getting a lot of attention, and that it shouldn't have ended, but it did, and then here we are. Probably, it's one of those things it's just what was meant to be, I guess.
Yeah.
We're here doing this, and I couldn't be more excited about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same here.
Yeah, sometimes it's not about learning what to do; it's about learning what not to do.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. We talked about that last week. That a lot of times we hear those stories on the road sometimes, and that was one of the points I made, that a lot of times when I hear those stories from guys like Akbar and other guys that I got the opportunity to ride with, and I'm listening to them, and I figure out in my head, I said, I know not to do that. And that sometimes is a lot more important than figuring out what to do.
What to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
It can be a minefield out there.
Yes, it can.
You got to tiptoe through it sometimes. And but yeah, like you say, it's tough to pour your entire being into something, and it becomes like your baby.
Yep.
And to one day you wake up and that's just not there anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of like losing your best dog in a way.
Oh well, man, that's something I can't hardly handle.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But, like I say, I think we all probably learned a lot from that experience. We all grew closer in that experience. So, like our team, our Team TEXtv and Team TSW, we're all, I think, better for it now. And like I say, look where we're at this point in time. I don't know if you could have a much better platform to educate people on professional wrestling and be a community service as well.
Yeah, and not only just entertain them, but you're right, educate them. And speaking of education, that's part of what this is about. The OC and what we're doing right now, we'll be working. The kids are just started coming back to school. And there will be some students actually following us around, learning production and how to run these boards and things over here. And I don't know what all they'll end up running cameras. I know they're going to be doing some of that. So this is a teaching promotion as well. So in a different way, we're not just teaching wrestlers; we're teaching students.
Right.
You know, which is crazy. I never thought I'd be doing that.
No. Yeah, and just teaching. I mean, it's such a cool. And James, you and I have talked about this before, but I'm from Forney, went to Forney High School, and man, how cool would it have been if something like this was available when I was in school. And so it's super neat for these kids because not everybody wants to do the same thing after school, and not everybody wants to go to a 4-year university.
Right.
Right.
So it's just giving these students so many more avenues.
And it's starting to get some attention, I understand. I think the Today Show is thinking about coming down here and doing some kind of special. I don't know what they're going to do exactly, but it's getting some attention out there that's way beyond Texas.
Yeah, national attention.
Yeah,
at that.
Yeah, because it's such a unique concept. I've never seen anything like this.
No.
Oh.
And to those that haven't watched or listened to us talk about it before, the OC is about a $50 million building with businesses all the way, like a mall, all the way around the bottom floor, and all these businesses are teaching businesses where there a lot of them are local businesses that have like a satellite business in the school where they teach students how to run the business and work within the business and that sort of thing. They go to class and they come do that like a tech school, really.
Yeah.
And up above us, from what I understand, I think there's 2 more floors and there's classrooms in here.
Yeah, both the second and third story, it's all classrooms.
Yeah, and our part, there's 2 big arenas. There's one arena that's smaller and then another one that's huge.
Oh, it is
peeked
huge.
in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Aaron and I took a look also.
Yeah,
and
so there's so many possibilities in using those for all kinds of things, not just wrestling, obviously, for conventions, for just a multitude of things that those multi-unit use facilities are there for, and then we've got this studio. This podcast studio, which we were the first ones to use it. They got a full-blown recording studio back there. And I've been in tons of recording studios everywhere in Nashville and different places, and this is state-of-the-art, man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and what's even cooler is, September 26th, we're going to have our grand opening. So everybody can come out from 6 to 9 that day, check out the studios. I mean, you can watch it on YouTube, but still, I mean, come get the full feel of it.
Yeah,
walk around the OC, check out everything, check out the studios.
Yes, do the tour, and look at this. It's something that's just it's just hard to describe to people unless they come here and we'll look at it.
Yeah,
you and I were both at the grand opening here, and wow.
Yeah, I had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
You see the building from the outside,
Yep.
and I'm like, man, that is huge. What in the world could be going on inside there?
Yeah.
And then when you walk in, just blown away.
Yeah, and the school district and the town came together on this thing and built it. And it's mind-blowing. It really is. And on the 26th of September, the grand opening, the big home, I guess, kind of a open house kind of thing. And we're going to have some people here, some NWA personalities, and of course, I'm sure all of us will be here as well, and some of the Texas style wrestling competitors will be here. So it's for us, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
But it's way beyond just the wrestling promotion.
Hell yeah. And let's take a break real quick. I'm going to go restroom real quick. Is that all right? Let's take a pause, Barry?
Yeah.
All right. You just hit that pause button.
I'll be in New Mexico putting out the Billy the Kid marker.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, Stinking Springs, New Mexico. And so they
All right, guys, we've been sitting here talking about all kinds of things except for what we probably should be talking about. We need to talk about our sponsors a little bit. We've got some great sponsors that really helping us make this possible.
Right.
Texas Select Beverages is one of them, and that's, if you haven't hit, that's Otto's Root Beer. There we go. Yep. And they've got some other beverages as well in that line, and man, that stuff's good.
Oh, the tea is incredible too. Really, really good.
Yeah, good stuff. And then we appreciate those guys being one of our sponsors. I think you know about the others.
Yeah, about Vado Blanco.
Yeah, Vado Blanco, yeah.
So I was made aware that they have not released a queso yet, but I think a triple G queso should be on the way. I think maybe we should make that happen. But the salsa,
you can take that salsa and pour some cheese on it. You got a pretty good queso.
Yeah, some of the best, absolutely the best salsa I've ever had in my entire life.
It is good.
Yep.
I had some the other night. It's really good, and they've got it the hot, the medium, and the mild. Yeah, and depending on what your preference is or what you can stand, that's what you got. And then
and the hot's hot.
Yes, it is.
It's hot,
yes,
and I'm a spice guy. I'm putting Tabasco on everything.
Yeah,
and,
I like a little heat.
It's hot. It's really good. But just go over to VadoBlanco.com.
VadoBlanco.com.
Pick you up some of that.
Select Beverages and Eddie Dean.
Eddie Dean's, yes sir.
Yes sir. You can't beat Eddie Dean. He's got that great barbecue, and just about everything they make is good.
Absolutely.
And they're right here in the OC.
Yep.
They got a place around the other side of the OC for us, and great food, man. Eddie Dean's been around a long time.
It's like a one-stop shop. You get the Eddie Dean's, then you get some spicy salsa, and then you get that Otto's root beer from Texas Beverage Select, and you wash
cool
it all
down a little bit. There you go. Yeah, that's some good stuff. I got some in the refrigerator at home right now.
Right.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And of course, the Casa Blanco, or I can't even talk now. What did I do?
Vado Blanco.
Vado Blanco. And Texas Select Beverages, they don't have an outlet here in the mall, but Eddie Dean does.
Eddie Dean's does,
and that's something we should probably let people know, that this mall here is not just for the school people. It's for the people in town. They come out. There's all kinds of stores and restaurants, and man, you can come in here and spend all day long shopping and eating and having a good time.
Yeah, it truly is a shopping mall.
Yeah,
yes, shopping mall with the school built in on top.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe you go into the big Coliseum. George Strait could be in there.
It's
large
never
enough.
know. Yeah, it's large enough. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure eventually we'll have some concerts and things in there, music, conventions, all kinds of things. And either one of the facilities they've got here is amazing, and they're so versatile. They can be used for all kinds of things.
Speaking of music, maybe we need some James Beard in there soon.
Yeah, well, we might do that. You never know. Yeah.
Have a TSW concert.
There we go.
Wouldn't that be something? Some of them I don't think you want to hear sing.
I gotta say this. I've got 2 of James's CDs, and they're incredible. Absolutely incredible. Never so often when your wife will put you when you're singing in church, and I enjoy that. I enjoy that a lot.
Yeah.
You're very talented, Mr. Beard.
Well, thank you. It's something that music's always kind of been my first love, and I still get my fix with it sometimes. I work with some guys there, like I said, at church sometimes, and sometimes they play around Tyler, and I'll sit in with them or something. But Mouse and the Traps basically is the band. They had some hit songs back in the '60s. Pretty well known in this area, and they're great guys. I've known them since we were in school, really, and for forever, way longer than I want to admit. and they're still magnificent musicians, and I enjoy working with them, and that's something I kind of get a like I said, my music fix with those guys.
Well, I kind of had a Bass Ackwards attempt to get you to sing at the wedding. I had it set up. I said, we're going to do some karaoke, but unfortunately, we all ended up riding the mechanical bull all night.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Well, if I'd known you were going to do an Elvis song there, I would have done that for you. I'd been happy to.
I probably should have done that. He might have sang a few more songs.
Yeah.
I think we got like one or two songs.
Yeah, my wedding. His aunt and uncle have this place not too far from Waco. It's a ranch, really. They turned it into like a resort where you've got some cabins and things there, and some facilities for parties, and it's an amazing place.
Right.
Got a lot of exotic animals and things.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's where he had his wedding, and it was quite a party.
I'll tell you, you get this group of folks together, and you mix Elvis and a mechanical bull, and you don't even realize you're at a wedding.
I found out how poorly some of these guys ride a mechanical
Oh, I imagine so. I would have been right up there with them.
and something stronger than Otto's root beer might have had something to do with that.
Yeah. I don't want to say any names, but Stewie, we found out real quick of the lack of ability to ride a mechanical bull that Stewie the clown.
Stewie.
He is not a rodeo clown.
He is not a rodeo clown. He's no damo. So.
Well, I'm not sure how much of a rodeo rider Damo is.
Well,
he kind of went off the front end of it too, I think.
We all kind of did. I'll tell you, when you ride a mechanical bull, it's nothing like riding a real one.
Oh, I imagine not.
It's nothing like riding a real one.
Yeah.
And so if you're on a real bull, you're kind of to the front, getting between those horns, and stay ahead of their momentum.
Yeah.
On those mechanical bulls, you got to way back, because if not,
unless you're Deborah Winger.
Yeah, you can ride it.
Yeah, she had a way of doing it that was,
sissy for the rest of the Urban Cowboy.
If you watched Urban Cowboy, you know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that she definitely had a way of doing it.
Well, I hate I'm going to miss the grand opening here for the OC, but
you got some pretty cool stuff going on yourself, don't you?
Tell us what you're doing. That's kind of unique.
Super unique. The Billy the Kid Historical Coalition, big supporter of 360 Pro Wrestling, a lot of things we got going on, and big supporter of what we do, TEXtv and TSW. Preserving that Billy the Kid history, and we just are going to be able to create the monument. My aunt and uncle that own the venue also own the national headquarters for Boulder Design, and so we're
there. You are right there.
Yeah, we've been commissioned to make some of the markers, and our first one will be in Stinking Springs, New Mexico. And for those that have no idea what that is where Pat Garrett captured Billy the Kid, and so we're going to be able to go out there and put the marker out. It's going to be really, really cool. But I got to get drug off to New Mexico while y'all are having fun over here at the OC.
Well, that's not a bad place to be. I remember we were coming back from somewhere, maybe it was Big Springs before, not this trip, but the one before that, and we stopped at another marker for I guess the
Pretender,
the pretend Billy the Kid.
Yeah. Brushy Bill Roberts, my buddy Doss Boot at the coalition's gonna get mad because I even bring up Brushy Bill. we he's part of the legend now.
Yeah,
he is, and so you can't really learn about the real Billy the Kid without kind of having to learn about Brushy Bill too.
He was an interesting character.
Very interesting character, and an interesting part of history. We just, not the real thing, but fun to learn about.
Well, I'm pretty much a history buff anyway. That was one of my minors in college, and Western history really is interesting to me.
Oh, yeah.
I can watch Tombstone and those things all day long and never get tired of it.
And I see the cap, Tombstone, Arizona cap.
Actually, I was there year before last, I guess, during the winter time, and it was really nice.
Right.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's a great place to visit.
And isn't it the same boards on the walkways? And then I've never been there, so I'm just crazy. I have to read everything. Yeah. But in that Birdcage Theater, the bullet holes and the cowboy shoes.
Yeah, they still have all that stuff still there.
That's really cool.
They've retained a lot of the original places, and some of them been redone a little bit. But it's really interesting. I just love that stuff.
I think if I could spend the rest of my life going to those places and be just happy as a bird in a tree.
I love that. I love wrestling history. John Layfield, JBL, turned me onto a book that I just ordered and got on Kindle. It's called Ballyhoo, which is. It goes way back to the 1800s, and I've just gotten started on it. But
that's cool.
It's really interesting. And he has actually written a foreword to a book that Steve Johnson wrote about Like I said, Greg Oliver and Steve and Greg are partners in a lot of things. But Steve Johnson wrote this book about about Jim Lundas, and which is an amazing character in wrestling, probably the greatest draw ever in wrestling. And this whole book is about him, and John wrote the foreword to it, and I'm anxious to see it. I think it's out in November. I've already pre-ordered it. It's just going to be something I really want to get into.
Well, speaking of books, is your second book available yet?
Not yet. It's not. No, in fact, Mark James does it. Working on it, putting it together. Everything's written. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a couple of changes before they actually get it out, and I'm hoping sometime this fall it'll be available.
That's exciting.
Ready. Yeah,
very excited. When the first one came out, immediately I still have it sitting on my entertainment center at home, signed by the legendary James Beard, and. What a great read. I enjoyed the two books, wrestling books I enjoyed the most was Chris Jericho's first one. I laughed out loud at it. I thought, and then yours, I really enjoyed your book.
Yeah, that book's been good to me. It's not an autobiography. I mean, it's got some stuff in there, obviously, but it's really mostly about my relationships and experiences with the guys I worked with here in Texas, mostly in world class and global and USWA and that kind of thing, and kind of my experiences with them, and there's some other stuff in there too. But
well, maybe we'll all make the third book. Bam, bam.
Actually, you guys are actually a part of that third book. Yeah. It's about a lot of the experiences I've had overseas, Japan and Germany and other places, and some stories about that and about the USWA when I was working there, and about kind of catching up. And part of the catching up is about this story, telling this story about how it came to be and where we are. And the funny thing about it is after I wrote it, and then I realized that it's continually changing, continually updating. There's no way you can keep up with it all.
No, not at all.
So I'm just going to have to accept that it had to end somewhere. But and that was part of the problem I had writing it is I didn't really have an ending. I had all these stories that I already written or partly written, and a lot of things I wanted to write, but then I didn't have I just didn't know how to get out of it.
Right.
And I wanted it to be a positive thing, and this is a good way to get out of it. It's a good way to end it, and telling the story about the movie. It's in there about being a part of the Iron Claw.
How cool is that?
Oh, it's incredible. Incredible.
Yeah. Super cool. We got a handful of friends that are in the movie and watching the movie. We're just popping for people next to us are looking at it like, what is wrong with these people? It's our friends.
Yep, I remember when James came on screen, I freaked out.
Yeah.
And the lady next to me just kind of glanced over and looked at me, and I was like, don't worry, I know him. I promise you, we're really good friends. And she was just kind of like, okay. I think she just thought I was just a crazy fan in there watching.
It's weird when it gets personal like that.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. And the funny thing about it is that there's a lot of stuff that didn't make the movie.
Right.
That's the way it is with any movie. I heard Kevin Costner talking about the first movie he had a role in got completely cut out.
Oh no.
But he was so proud of it because he made. He got the job, and even though it didn't make the movie, at least he had the part.
Exactly, yeah.
And that was true with this movie too. There were some of the guys like Will Alday. He was there through that shoot with us, and I don't think he had a scene in there or anything, but he helped, with the kind of showing the guys how to do this and how to do that and that kind of thing. So he had a big part in the production part of it. And this movie making is really interesting. We had a picture pop up there or something. There we go. That's the Von Erichs in the movie and the Von Erichs in real life. And yes, there are some differences physically for sure. There's no question about that. But I thought the actors did an incredible job in the movie. The movie was really about Kevin. And they pretty much nailed it, pretty much nailed that part of it. I've talked to Kevin about it, and he's happy about that.
Has to be the greatest wrestling movie ever made.
Yeah.
I think the wrestling scenes were definitely the best ever made, and the story, the acting was incredible. You know, if you forget about, we've talked about this, you know, if you get about trying to make a documentary out of it and just watch it as a movie, you know, and take what you know should happened and didn't happen, and the sequence and all that kind of thing out of your mind, and just watch it as a movie, it's an unbelievable movie. It really is. And it's pretty affecting too.
And just the bigger picture of things. I mean, you got to look. How many people has that opened eyes to Texas wrestling?
Yeah,
right.
And you know, the Von Erichs to us are superstars, but how many people in this world had no idea who the Von Erichs were? And now they're given this on a silver platter.
Yeah.
And you know, it just, if anything, it benefits TSW. You know, it benefits us as well, because you know there is other forms of wrestling out there besides just the mainstream, what we have going on.
And it's cool thing about it too is that it's such a quality movie.
Yeah,
it's a major motion picture.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of wrestling or movies about wrestling or had wrestling in it that were, you know, and a couple that were pretty good. You know, The Wrestler was a pretty good movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
And took it seriously.
Yeah, I really enjoed that one. The Wrestler, I really enjoyed that one.
It was a good movie, and a lot of things in it I could relate to, you know, because that's how it is in a lot of ways. But this movie was absolutely a quality promotion, and then that shows a few things from my book there. That picture down where I'm holding the rope with Layfield, John Layfield, that was taken in Germany, and there's a story in my new book about that. Even though that picture, I didn't write anything about that in this book, but it's in there, and it got good reviews. Very proud of it. People that have read it seem to have enjoyed it. It was an experience. It took a while, but
how long did you say it took to the whole process?
It probably took me about 3 years, from the time I started to the time we actually got it out, and it's been another 3 or 4. Well, actually, it's 10 years ago when I released it.
Oh wow! Okay.
And I've had some of those stories that are in the new book I'd already written.
Yeah,
they were already there. I wrote about 600 pages when I wrote it to begin with, and about 300 or something made it in the first book. And Mark James put it together, and he did a good job of it. Kind of made sure that it all kind of made sense together. And this is a totally different format, or totally different, I guess, theme. And a lot of the theme in this book is what I just told you about Akbar, where he told me, you know, that you just can't retire from this business. You just something about it, you know. And I see it all the time with guys. I get even guys that get jaded about the business. Sometimes they think I'm not going to have anything to do with it. You go ask them to do something, and they'll be right there.
Yeah,
you know, because that's just it's in your blood. That's the way it is, and that's what he meant by that. And he was living proof of it himself, and I am myself. You know, that's kind of what the theme of this book continues. It's kind of a thread through it. You know, that's what's happened to me too, because I thought 10 years ago I was done.
Yeah.
You know, I really did. And I've had more happen in the last 10, 11 years than it's almost like a whole new career, really. You know, so it's a unique business, and I'm proud of being able to kind of contribute to it.
What, 2 books? Bam Bam, you know, the Avant Flow. Is that a movie would have to come at some point
After
about
the
James
second
Beard?
book,
And I got to know, Bam Bam, who would play James Beard in that movie?
I wonder if
I've already got it in my brain. I want to hear yours.
Oh man, who you thinking?
Kurt Russell.
Yep. I could absolutely see
I
it.
hear that sometimes. Yeah.
Yep, Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Yep.
He'd have to get younger though to do something.
Well, now they can do anything with these.
Yeah.
You know, movie magic.
AI now.
AI and
Yeah. Maybe I could talk Zach into playing the younger me. And,
there you go. Yeah, there we go.
and Kurt come in and take over what I look like now, I guess. Make me look better anyway. Yeah, that'd be cool. I don't know if anybody would want to see that movie, but it's been an interesting ride for sure.
Definitely interesting. Right? You took JBL to Japan for the first time.
I did. Yeah. He wasn't ready for it. And I had a lot of Japanese guys going, what in the world is he doing over here? Bob Orton also asked that question because he was over there on that first trip. But yeah, I took a lot of guys over there for the first time. John, JBL, Bobby Duncombe. We put them together as a tag team over there, which I think I told that story before, that, how Stockerado finally ended up, Kendo, finally ended up kind of taming him down a little bit. I took Booker T over there for the first time. Booker was scared to death. He didn't think that he would fit. He was just really worried about it.
Yeah.
And I just knew he'd do well. I could just tell. And he did. Steve Simpson, Buddy Lindell, a lot of guys, that got their first ride over there. I was in a good situation with Stockerado, and had given me the opportunity to book guys here in the States, and it kind of picked the guys that I thought would fit well over there, and I had some good luck with that. Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
That was a fun thing too, being able to be kind of in the creative side of the business over there before I ever even got into it over here, which is interesting.
Well, that's cool. I know, like say, your first experience, Red Bastion, being at the Sportatorium. Bam Bam, what was yours? What's your first recollection of pro wrestling?
Man, I was probably about 4 years old. We had just moved to Forney, actually. My family did, and there was a little mom and pop video store. And so we went into the video store, and I found WrestleMania 2000. And I took that home and watched that. And from the time I turned that on and watched it, dude, I was hooked. And I just fell right into wrestling from there.
You remember your first live show that you saw?
My first live show, yes. So my grandmother used to work for a company called Ericsson, and they had a suite at the American Airlines Center. So it was actually Raw Homecoming. I want to say this was like 06, somewhere around that time. And she called my mom after I got picked up from school and was like, hey, I have these wrestling tickets for tonight, would Chase be interested? And absolutely, yes, I was interested. So, and I had one more extra ticket that I could call a buddy of mine. Nice. So I gave him a call, and we went to the American Airlines Center. So I was a little spoiled. My first one was in a suite, but man, it's just so cool, growing up, watching it to that point, and just being there and hearing the crowd and feeling the crowd, and you hear the mat, you hear the bumps, you hear everything. It's so different seeing it live than it is through a television screen.
We've talked about it before, and I've said this a lot of times that I see people, they've gone to their first live event, and they've watched it on TV, and they think one thing about it, and they see one live event in their whole different perspective of professional wrestling.
Yeah, it completely
and that was true for me even as a kid, at 8 or 9 or 10, whatever I was, and the first time I went to see one, which was way before 2006. It was like probably 1960 or 1961 or something like that. And that freaks me out too, to think about that it was that long ago, and here I'm working with guys that are, could be my son. It's a unique business in that way, and I got to work with a lot of those guys, like we said before, and it just kind of passes it on down.
Yeah, and if I wasn't already hooked by that point, oh man, that completely sold me.
Yeah, the live event gets you. It really does.
Yeah, and just the noise of the arena, and how loud the entrance music is, and then you have the pyro and everything on top of that. I mean, it was as a 10-year-old kid, I was thrilled to death.
Yeah, and that for me that was different, because back then they didn't have any kind of music.
Yeah,
no music whatsoever. But I do remember the atmosphere at the Sportatorium, the smell, the feel, the whole thing was. It grabbed you, even without all the. It
didn't need all that extra.
That stuff. Yeah.
How many people, James, would fit in the Sportatorium? Like how many?
About 4,500.
4,500.
Yeah, and it's really cool when it's full.
Oh, I bet.
I imagine so.
It was unreal. There would be times when you'd show up and there'd be a line all the way around just waiting to get in. And it was an amazing place. It really was. Ugly place, but it was amazing. Yeah, just the feel of it, the atmosphere. We've talked about it. It's something you just can't manufacture.
Right.
And I'm proud to have been a part of that. Even a small part of the Sportatorium legacy, I guess.
What a moment in time! What a moment in time!
And now it's
really cool.
Just an empty field out there.
That's
which
insane.
Is sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, we were talking about making the movie. I went to the premiere. And after the premiere, we had the after party at Longhorn Ballroom, which is just down the street from where the sportatorium was. So we had to go right by there to get there. And Longhorn Ballroom has the same kind of legacy, you know, except for it's still alive.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Yeah,
Now,
it's still
kind of been revived in the last few years, remodeled and everything. It's a great place. I actually played music there at one time.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we actually worked in there as a musician, and then later on down the street. Sportatorium, and there was wrestling in the Longhorn. Killer Tim Brooks had a promotion there that worked there for quite a while, and so the Longhorn had some little bit of both the music and the wrestling legacy.
Killer Brooks, that's who I went to train with when I got in Waxahachie.
Yeah, he trained a lot of guys around here.
He did.
Yeah, a lot of guys got their start working with Killer, and he was a great teacher.
Yeah, I want to say even like Barrett Brown, I want to say he did. Yeah, there's a lot of guys out there.
Tim Storm went there some. He didn't start there, but he went there some early on in his career when he finally came to Texas. And there were a lot of guys that got a start there.
Yeah, Killer was much more affordable than, say, the Shawn Michaels Academy in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And we'd go train from 10 to 1 on Saturdays. And I'd show up at like 7 in the morning, sit there with him while he's in his underwear eating breakfast, just bugging him.
Yeah.
You know,
just getting as much information as you can, though.
But I think he really enjoyed that. I think he appreciated that.
Killer was a special guy, a good friend. I rode a lot of miles with Killer, and a lot of times with Akbar and he together. And I took Killer to Japan because he'd already been there a lot of times before, but went over there with him a couple of times, and he was a good friend. You know, when he was sick, and how I went to visit him a few times and spent a little time with him, and it was special. He's a special guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
He sent me home with Roddy Piper's book, In the Pit with Piper, and he's like, read this certain chapter. And I can't reference it. But I tell you, I thought, man, what a wild business.
Yeah. He and Piper were good friends.
Yeah. Up in Portland, Oregon, and there's some really, really great stories in that book. Yeah. That's a good wrestling book, too.
We've been talking about just about everything but wrestling. But we got a lot of things going on here, man.
We do. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
All across this, Team TEXtv, it's hard to keep up with, but it's fun at the same time.
Yeah, and the anticipation of it starting up and actually launching, and all the things that we can do with it creatively. There you go. Just unlimited Texas content. It's going to be wrestling, music, talk shows, podcasts like that. We're going to be on there. It's going to be all kinds of things going on, and then the fun thing about it is there's a place there for, if you're a creative person, that you can come up with an idea and pitch it and maybe get it on TEXtv.
Yeah.
It's going to be all related to Texas. It's not going to be just one thing. So
and it's so many opportunities for just created individuals as a whole. If you have an idea for something, put it out there. Let's see if it sticks.
And the plan is to launch sometime this fall, hopefully. That's they're still putting together some technical things that I can't understand. It'll go way over my head.
Way over my head.
Yeah, and then you go into one of these rooms where all the equipment is, all the recording stuff and everything, and you just look at all the wires and all the plug-ins and the knobs and everything, and I'm like. And I kind of understand recording, because I've been in a lot of recording studios, but this goes way beyond anything I've ever seen.
The only thing in this room I know how to operate is the handle on the door.
That's about it.
And I'm not even joking. There's so many buttons and wires, but hey, it's space age.
Yeah, but they're getting it all put together and all online.
And you can head over to TEXtv, and you can fill out your information, put your email address in there, and you'll get updates. You'll get sneak peeks of everything. Yeah. And you'll be well informed when it does drop.
Absolutely. Right now, this podcast is on our YouTube channel, but as soon as TEXtv launches, then we're there. And the wrestling, we kind of taken a little bit of pause with TSW tapings because we're kind of getting ready for that, and we're doing this and trying to prepare for the launch. But that hadn't stopped you from promoting events. And you've been a busy boy over there, which is good. That keeps the boys working and busy and keeps everybody interested in what we're doing. And we got another dog pound promotion down in San Antonio, which is a different kind of promotion because it's a teaching promotion, as well as they've got a little TV thing going on down there too. And Jazz and Roddy Mack are the instructors and run that promotion, and they're doing an incredible job down there.
Yeah, they are.
And then they've produced some guys and gals that are a big part of TEXtv,
TSW,
Texas style wrestling. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's one of, if not the best training school in Texas, in my opinion, is Dog Pound.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't get much better than Jazz and Rodney.
No, you can't. You can't get any better than that. The knowledge they have, and they're such great people. They're like I've told you before. They're like family to me, and I love them to death. They were in Big Spring with us not just a couple of weeks ago, and of course when we get started here again on October the 12th, they'll be involved in that. Jazz is involved in the NWA already. She's the female producer there, the female booker, whatever you want to call it, and we've already using NWA talent here. We've already started doing that, and we'll do a lot more of that now. And I'm excited about it. There's so many things that we can do with that, and it's kind of like going home for me. I was director of operations for the NWA for a few years, and I was involved in the transition from that ownership to Billy Corgan. And I know Billy's vision is pretty set, and he does a great job of taking it from that point to where they are now, and I just love the NWA. I love the history.
And Texas style wrestling, I mean, the TSW and NWA, it just seems such a good fit.
Natural.
Together. It seems such a natural fit.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't be more excited for this to be taken off in October.
Yeah, and that belt right there, I mean, that's the old 360 belt. If you turn it around, I don't know if we can get a shot of that or not. If you turn it around, if you see that, you got the NWA logo right on the back of it.
Yeah.
And so there's some history here, and there you go. Yep. And that sucker weighs about 90 pounds.
Yeah, it is the heavy.
I've held, I don't mean winning, I've held a lot of belts in my time as a referee. You have to generally hold them up and show everybody when on a championship match. And that's probably one of the top 3 or 4 as far as weight goes that I've ever picked up.
That one requires both hands.
Yeah, the New Japan belt is probably a little heavier than that, and I don't know how they must have been made out of lead too, but it's a cottonwood brass.
Brass. That one was brass.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a cheap one for sure.
Yeah, that New Japan is the only one I think I've ever held that was heavier.
Yeah.
And that's when we had the new one made. I said, let me make that a little bit lighter.
Please do. Yes.
Yeah, Hammerstone. Y'all know who Hammerstone is.
Yeah.
When Hammerstone won this particular one way back, there's a picture I got at home of, and they hand him the belt. And I'll go to raise his hand up, and he goes to put the belt up, and the picture of the little belt's down here.
I tell you what, when you grab one of those things and you think you're going to hold it up real quick, it'll shock you. Yeah, especially the heavy ones like that. And that's one of the heavier ones. I mean, that one, New Japan, the one, Matt Riviera's promotion, old school wrestling. OSW out of Arkansas. He had one that rivaled that too. It was a heavy rascal.
Yeah, we scale that back now.
Yeah. And speaking of belts, this little thing right here, I say little thing, it actually looks a lot like the old Texas NWA Texas belt, and which you got a copy of that yourself. And the Texas Style Championship will be decided before too terribly long. At least we'll be starting to do that. I don't know what format we're going to go with, a tournament or what. I'm sure there'll be something like that.
And I'm happily
have decided, and I'm sure you're going to
very
throw
happy
your hat
to put my name in that hat. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, and it's not going to be anything easy about it. now that we'll have NWA personnel involved too, there's no telling who all's going to be involved.
Who's going to show
in
up
that.
for it? Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a very tough situation for anybody to win.
Yeah, and as it should be. I mean, it's the Texas Heavyweight Championship. You know, you're not going to luck your way into something like that. So, you know, it should be tough. It should be hard. You know, whoever holds that title, hopefully myself, but whoever holds that title should be proud.
Yeah.
And because it's gonna take a beating. It's gonna take hell to get there. But.
Yeah. 360 has a Texas belt, and it's in Big Spring. I don't know what you were thinking about.
I usually am not thinking.
Well, I kind of wondered myself. I looked at the lineup, and Will Alday holds his belt there. And if you don't know Will is an incredibly talented. Man, I don't know how to describe him. He can do everything in the ring. You name it. Just unbelievable
super
talent.
Smooth, super fluid.
Super, yeah, and then just very, very talented.
Very natural.
But they put him in the ring with Damage, which is an NWA tag team champion. Your old buddy, Ivan Warsaw. Yeah, that was another one in there, and
Max Castellanos. El Chingon de Teja.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a stack.
That's four guys.
Yeah.
Not tagging in and out. That's four guys in the ring going at it at the same time. And poor me, I'm just staying out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm trying
let those guys go.
That's three big guys, and Will's not a big guy, but he's fast.
Yeah.
And he somehow found a way to hang on to it, but it wasn't easy.
Yeah. When Will hits you, it feels like it's a big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, when he comes with that super kick or he comes with those forearms or those fists, and I've been hit by Will.
Yep.
And, you know, I'm a little bit bigger than Will, but when he caught me right across the jaw, and it reminded me, okay, let's go.
Yeah. That was an experience.
Yeah.
Which made me wonder about your sanity about putting together a match like that.
Well, you know, anytime the Texas Heavyweight Championship is up for grabs, it needs to be a marquee situation. This is the be all end all, and so the competition just needs to be through the roof.
Yep.
And that's one of the things I'm very passionate about, is the most intense competition, the greatest matches, the greatest superstars, and really nothing in between.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I think it's so important to present professional wrestling at the highest level you can, because as we all know, it can get way down in the dumps.
Well, those last two encounters with Brent McKenzie and Charlie Haas, they were incredible matches, but I got to say that I'm not quite satisfied, and I don't think anybody is. I think we're going to end up having to put those guys in a cage or something and find out who can really come out of it.
Oh yeah, Charlie wanting another match as of just yesterday, day before yesterday, and he's ready to put a stamp on this, so to speak. Because the last two times that they faced each other, Charlie Haas has held that championship up at the end of the night, and by hook or crook, or slipping on a banana
away
field.
from him.
Brent will use the rules to his favor.
Well, and he tried to use some brass knucks to his favor the last time.
Yep, and I don't think he expected you to figure that out.
Well, the idiot. Brent's a great wrestler, but I'm not real sure about his brains sometimes. I raised his hand, and then the next thing I look, and there we are. Well, what is that? Oh.
The thing is with Brent, without probably one of the most incredible big men of this era.
He is a great talent.
But when he has a bad attitude, I don't think there's anything he won't do.
We have had our issues over the years.
Yeah,
it goes way back.
I thought you was checking him for cauliflower ear every time. I always see you grabbing him by the ear.
Well, sometimes that's the only way you control a guy. If you grab them by the ears, they're going to go with you. They're going to go with you. That's right. Yeah, and they won't listen to you. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And as a referee, I don't like doing that, but occasionally you just have to get involved.
Yeah, getting my ears grabbed by James Beard doesn't sound like a fun time. So I'll try to
I
keep
don't
that
haven't
one
done
off
that
the
too
bingo
many
card.
times in my career,
Yeah.
but if I feel the need and it's a situation that something like that has to happen, then you just got to step up and do it.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been in there with some pretty big names that I've had to get a little physical with. I mean, I'm not trying to say that I could fight them and come out on top, but I can, if they have any respect for the rules at all or the referee, then I've got that to my advantage.
Yeah.
Because I can disqualify them.
Yeah,
So they got that option.
James, was there anybody in your career that pushed the boundaries, kind of like Super Tex does? Is there anybody else that comes to mind?
There have been several. Yeah. There's been some guys that Ivan Warsaw's one of those guys. He'll do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's been quite a few that, and some of them you just might as well throw rules out.
Right.
One of the first matches I ever refereed was Bruiser Brody and Abdul the Butcher. I mean, what do rules mean in something like that?
Yeah.
You just follow them around and chase them around and hope you don't get hurt while you're doing it. But there's been guys, a Killer could get out of hand sometimes. We were friends, and there were times when, he'd take things a little further than you would hope.
Yeah.
Akbar do the same thing. A lot of those guys that got a little rough, that they would try to get away with things. Some of them were sneakier. Some guys would be really sneaky about doing it. They would make you think, this is going to be cool and smooth and everything. Then they do something, but they set you up for it. There's been a lot of guys that have taken things too far.
Too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can be dangerous.
Yeah, and like I really appreciate, James, like when you do step up, and there's referees that don't, and as for myself, I would love to do everything, to a T, by all the rules. But when I'm in the ring with someone like Ivan, he's bending the rules. Well, eventually something's either going to have to give or I'm going to have to do something as well. And I've caught myself in those situations before. He's done something dirty and has me down. Well, finally, when I do get up, of course I want to choke him on the ropes.
Yeah.
Of course I want to, mount him in the corner and just hit him more than 10 times. And, there's not a 5-second thought going on in my head at that point. I've been taken advantage of. And now that I'm finally on top, you're going to get it too. So, yeah, it's tough. I really appreciate when officials do step up and do their job like they are supposed to.
Well, the thing about it is it's a fine line you have to walk as a referee. And you don't want to overshadow the wrestlers by any means. And in fact, I'd just as soon not be involved that way. But there's times when you just have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you don't, you're not doing your job. One of the hardest things for a referee to do is to be involved in a no DQ match. People ask you, what do you do? And I said, well, I still try to get the guys to follow the rules, even in a no DQ match. I mean, you're not going to get them to do it all the time, but at least you're trying.
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can do because you don't have that leverage of disqualifying them. And I almost hate that sometimes. But I understand why they have them. Sometimes it's a way to finally settle a feud, maybe, or whatever. I don't know. But
so then at that point, is your main focus on just the safety?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have
just
to be
purely
that.
the
You
safety.
have to be doing that. And like I said, even during the match when they're doing things that would be normally against the rules, I'm still telling them not to.
Yeah.
It's just my natural way of doing things. But I know that they're not going to listen to me.
Yeah.
And eventually you're going to have to find a way to get out of it, and hopefully it's not something that hurts somebody, but it happens.
And unfortunately, I feel like once you get to that position, I've been involved in no DQs before. Whether it was a no DQ or a normal match, and no disrespect to any official out there, I'm not stopping when you tell me to anyways.
Yeah.
It's gotten to that point that between the two wrestlers, rules no longer matter.
Yep.
And whether we get disqualified or not, we're going to fight. I mean, this is an example of one of them right here, Ivan Warsaw and I. We didn't even make it through the entrance.
Yeah.
We fought out. You know, I stepped behind backstage, getting ready to go, and once we locked eyes, it was on from there.
Yeah, I found out that floor is a lot harder than the ring. And the ring is not soft, by the
No.
way. A lot of people think the rings are soft, but they're not. But that old concrete floor is a whole lot worse than the ring.
and this match in particular, I had a hard time sitting down for about 3 months. I got my tailbone pretty bad on that concrete. And, you know, it's one of those things. Of course, you don't feel it in the moment, and you don't feel it 20 minutes after the match. But about an hour after that, when I was driving home, I was like, man, why can I not sit still? And sure enough, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yep. Those are just written for, like I said, for a referee. They're tough. It's a tough situation, but you know, you just do what you got to do. You know, and hopefully nobody gets hurt.
Yeah, and I've also learned, you know, with Ivan, you just have to expect the unexpected. You just have to know he's going to cheat. You know, you could be rocking and rolling, you could be on top, so you can't turn your back to him. You can't, because you know he's going to take that shortcut to get on top.
Yeah. I've been in the ring with a lot of guys who were, I guess, for lack of a better word, unpredictable.
Yeah,
and he's definitely one of those.
Yeah, I mean, literally just right there, I'm choking him on the rope. That's not my normal characteristic.
No.
You know, but Ivan brings that out of me. He brings that side out of me. You know, and I almost have to level with him a little bit. He's not all there. And he doesn't just have a screw loose. I think he has all of them loose. And so I have to loosen a few of my own going into this, knowing it's going to get a little wild. It's going to get crazy. But, you know, at the end of the day, you just absolutely do what you have to do.
Yeah, the frustrating thing about guys like that is that some of them, like Ivan, I think, he does have a screw loose. There's no question about that, but he's smart.
He is. He is so smart, and he's so
technically
incredibly,
really good.
He's really, really good.
Yeah.
And
that makes him dangerous.
Yeah, he's very. And he's hurt me a lot.
Yeah.
But I also know I've hurt him a lot, too.
Yeah.
And, you know, and as
there
much
you
as
go again.
there I am. As much as this started out personal, and it always will be personal, there's going to be a side of me that when we come out on the other side of this, if we ever do, I have the utmost respect for him, for Ivan, you know. But just because I do respect him doesn't mean I have to like him. I don't agree with what he does. I don't agree with the way he does it, but the dude's a tough dude.
Oh, and unconventional. He'll do anything he has to win a match. But aside from the in-ring that he produces, those mind games that he's capable of playing they're on another level.
It's smart, like I said. He's a smart guy. He just knows exactly what he's doing all the time. You think he's out of his mind, but he's really thinking about what he's doing and doing it on purpose.
And there was a long time, you know, I couldn't really do anything without always having a look over behind my back. And, you know, he jumped me out in a parking lot. And, you know, it was all on film. I was arriving to the arena and getting my stuff out of the car. And next thing I know, I'm getting ambushed. Yeah. So now I know I'm not only not safe inside the building, but anywhere, you know. Even when I walked into the OC this morning, I did a quick look around. You know, I've been caught off guard, and I'm not going to allow it to happen again.
I was just noticing what he was doing there. He had you down, and you had your guard up.
Yeah.
And instead of trying to hit you with his fist, he's
just coming. Yeah.
Putting on the side like that. He's
extremely smart, and he's extremely good.
Yeah.
And no, I don't agree with the way he goes about things, but I have to respect his talent. But you know, I just wish
that's kind of how I'm with Brent and guys like that.
Yeah.
You know, you respect them, and they are talented, but there's something a little loose in them somewhere. You know, but that's life as a wrestler. You know, and as a referee.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you get to deal with all the craziness.
Yeah, and you know, we got a lot of that going on. You get issues. That personal issues are always interesting. Jerry Jarrett always said that's the key to making fans interested in wrestling is when you can find those personal interests or personal relationships that have a little bit of a edge to them, you know, like we've got with Damage and Tim Storm. You know?
I think that's extremely personal. Yeah,
and those guys have taken it to a whole nother level.
a whole different level.
I mean, you know the story. You know, they had Tim and Roddy Mack had wrestled. I don't know how many times over the years, lots of times, and they're good friends.
Yeah,
they were really close, good friends, and respected each other. Even when they competed hard, and somehow most of the time Tim kept coming out on top. And at some point he. And we're trying to kind of educate folks on what's going on in TSW too, so they can kind of catch up with us. But at some point, Rodney Mack, I guess, out of desperation or irritation or whatever, challenged Tim to a match where the loser had to. If Tim were to lose, he had to retire, and if Rodney Mack lost, he had to leave. And somehow Tim came back out on top again.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy, but he did. And next thing we know, Damage shows up.
Yeah.
And he sure did look familiar to a lot of people. And of course, Tim took that a little personally because they made that agreement, you know, and he felt like it was being disrespected there. And that started a whole new thing. And the next thing we know, we have another masked guy showing up named Tormento. Yes, who
looks awfully eerily similar to.
Sounds a little like Tim.
To Sir Tim Storm.
You know, I think they might be distant relatives, maybe. But I know Tormenta, he grew up down way south in Mexico, somewhere way down there.
Way down there.
I don't think they knew each other growing up.
Oh, we finally got a waitress.
I haven't got my Dolly Parton wig yet.
Oh, please don't. Yeah, the
Gracias.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
The funny thing about it is that even though it's not funny, Tim kind of turned it into a situation that's a little humorous because it's pretty obvious what's going on and who is who. But at the same time, you know, it's a serious issue between the two of them.
Absolutely.
Look at him. He's getting some of this.
I'm going to force y'all to make sure.
Oh, there ain't no forcing. There ain't no forcing about it.
Drink this stuff.
Twisting my arm.
Yeah, we've got our waitress here pouring Otto's root beer, which is from Texas Select Beverage.
Texas Select Beverage.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit while ago. That's one of our sponsors.
The world's oldest Texas Select.
Now, if
is the world's oldest non-alcoholic beer.
The world's oldest.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. That's
the first
incredible.
ever non-alcoholic beer, not root beer. Talking about Texas Select, the brand beer, is the oldest.
It's good stuff.
That's amazing.
Country
That's good.
artists,
Yeah, that's good
Texas
stuff.
Country
NA.
artists drink it.
We were talking about history a little earlier, and that's more history. That's nice to know. There we go. We got some video or some visual.
We'll get Dana in here to talk about it. What a great product this is, and I'm fixing to enjoy some of it. Now, if we only had Everybody got a straw? Everybody got a bottle open? All right.
Yep. Thank you. We'll tip you later.
Okay.
Yeah. If we only had
Salsa and chips is for the next show.
If we only had some of that salsa, we'd be set for the day.
Maybe some of that Triple G queso that they're creating over there.
Yes. That's all we need. Yeah. All right.
It was delicious.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we were kind of catching up on some of the things happening in Texas style wrestling, which is what we started to do 2 podcasts ago.
Yeah.
And never got around to it because we've been talking about everything else. Yeah.
I'll just take this.
Go ahead. Yeah. There you
good.
go. Yeah. That's good stuff.
You know, it's exciting. One of the things about TSW is, and James, you know about this. You've been writing the history books in wrestling in Texas for a long time.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Yeah. that's what feels like. It feels like we're picking up the pencil and continuing to write the history books.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think the legacy of Texas wrestling is important. And we've talked about that Texas-style wrestling really incorporates a lot of different styles. It's just about something that fans can believe in and know that they're seeing what they're seeing is really wrestling, you know, and really a competition. And I think it's important that the fans understand that there's a difference, you know, and I think you can feel it sometimes, you know, that Texas wrestling is a little different, and that's not knocking any other kind of wrestling anywhere else.
No, not at all.
It's just that there's a legacy here that started a long time, even before the Von Erichs. And it was carried on by their father, Fritz, and then by the boys themselves and all the guys that were involved in that world-class situation, you know, and man, when you think about it, we talk about the Von Erichs all the time, but when you think about it, if you look at the talent that was around the Von Erichs, you know, Iceman King Parsons and
Gino,
Chris Adams and Gino Hernandez, Bruiser Brody, I mean, just it goes, Brian Adias, it goes on and on and on, you know, and it's just an amazing list of competitors that were a part of that, and that's what we want to build on. We're proud of being part of that legacy or continuing that legacy. You know, it's a shame that world class didn't last forever. But that doesn't mean you can't relive some of that with what we're doing.
Yeah, and it feels like it's the next chapter. It feels like we're taking that next progression, that next step.
You know, I always felt like when global wrestling started, USWA was a little different because it was really kind of Memphis style, which is a different style of wrestling, and there's nothing wrong. I enjoy it. Got a lot of friends there, and worked there myself. But it was different, a different style. But I thought global, when it finally came in and kind of got its legs a little bit, it was kind of a continuation of the world-class legacy. And this is another step in that direction, you know, as far as I'm concerned. That's what we're trying to do. And you know, it's what I know.
Yeah.
You know, it's what I love. People ask me about all my experiences in Japan, and honestly, the wrestling style over there was very similar to what we did in Texas.
Really?
And I was comfortable with it right off the bat. So it's something that I'm very proud of, and I'm wanting to continue.
What was the biggest adjustment for you over there? Was it just like strictly the language barrier, or I guess just the cultural differences?
Yeah, the cultural things, I guess, were the main things. The wrestling was easy.
Yeah.
Because I felt really comfortable there after my first match. My first match over there was a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But, and I don't know if I talked about it here before. I went over there I thinking this is going to be my only, my chance to go to Japan one time, and then we had these two events back to back and sold out arenas, and I got over there and thinking I'm going to be working with all the American guys, the gaijin, the guys that they brought over there, and Kabuki comes up to me. Kabuki was the booker. He comes up to me and said, "Okay, your first match is this guy and this guy," which was Wakamatsu and I think his name was Nakano, I believe. Anyway, Wakamatsu was an older guy, about ready to retire, and a younger, upcoming guy. And I said, "Okay." So I got two guys that can't speak English in my first match over here. And the match, I said, "Well, what's the deal?" He said, "Submission match."
Oh, man.
Okay. And that was all I knew. And somewhere in the middle of that match, Wakamatsu's walking around. He got kicked in the jaw. His jaw's hanging way down here, still going. And I'm like, I'm not stopping this thing until somebody tells me. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And finally, Wakamatsu got him a rear naked, and the younger guy tapped out. I walked back to the dressing room and after that, and some of the guys who hadn't been there before looked at me and said, "What in the heck was that?" And I said, "Well, you saw it.
Yeah.
That's what it was."
Yeah.
And it was just it was a war. And then you talk about no DQ.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, I wasn't going to DQ anything.
Nah.
I was going to let it go till somebody gave up. And evidently I did the right thing, and that was my first experience over there. Of course, after that, I ended up working with a lot of the American guys as well, but that was my first experience in Japan, so it was a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, just threw you straight to the deep end right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're just trying to find out how you handle those things, you know, which is, I'm sure that was part of it.
Yeah.
You know, and evidently it worked out okay, because after my second night over there, started getting my pay. I actually got a bonus before that from the owner, which was cool. Yeah. And I walked up to get my pay from Kabuki, and he says, "Okay, you come back next month." And that ended up being a permanent job. You know, when I was in Japan for several years then, you know, which is back and forth, by the way. But yeah, it was. It really was a very similar to Texas style over there, because it was just like catch as catch can. You know, you act, react.
Yeah.
And sometimes it got pretty tough, pretty brutal. You know, they definitely let you know you were in the ring with you.
Yeah.
You know, and I had some matches over there that I'm pretty proud of. You know, I'd had a lot of fun over in Japan, but Texas style wrestling and Japan wrestling wasn't that different, really. You know, you go over there and watch Stan Hansen and Brody and those guys go at it. It's like being in Texas, like the Sportatorium.
Yeah, and those guys, I mean, they adapted so well over there.
Yeah. So, you know, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring to the people here and whoever watches Texas style wrestling something that they can believe in and know that they're watching competition. Yeah. And sometimes it gets pretty rough.
It does, yeah. And competition can get personal. It does. I mean, look at any professional sport. You know, any professional athletes. You know, you have those rivalries, and if anything, you know, it just draws you in. Yeah. You know, you want to see what's going to happen.
You know, some guys fit that style, and some guys don't.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, sort of the style can be a lot of things. It can be very technical wrestling sometimes. And a lot of times you see a mix of that. You'll have a guy that's a little rough in there, like yourself with Ivan. Yeah. And you know, another guy that has a whole different style, and put them together. It gets interesting sometimes. Yeah. You know, and always create some good situations. But what I was kind of getting to before is that Jerry Jarrett always talked about the personal issues of what makes people interested in wrestling. And when you find those issues, two guys that don't necessarily get along otherwise, or maybe have some kind of issue with each other, and that's what makes people care about who wins and who loses.
Yeah.
And that's, as a matchmaker, as a guy who puts the matches together, that's kind of what I look for. And you know, you do the same thing when you're doing your live show events. You look for matchups that are interesting. You know, that are at least potentially interesting. And, and you know, you hope you hit it right. And when you do hit it right, it can be pretty exciting.
Oh, without a doubt.
I thought he was crazy about this four-way thing, but I have to admit it turned out to be a pretty exciting match.
Yeah.
You know, even though it was pretty chaotic, you know, it's just, you have to be creative that way in wrestling sometimes, and put together those kinds of situations so that people see something they may not have seen before, or something that has the potential to really grab them and make them care. And that's what wrestling's about, is making fans care about it.
Yeah. I mean, they have to be emotionally invested, and I know we've touched on this several times, but you know, without that emotional investment, then it is just a normal athletic event, and it no longer is professional wrestling. And like I said, those personal issues sometimes just come up, like with Damage and Tim Storm, Roddy Mack and Tim Storm, how you want to put it. That's just one of those things that came out of a friendship, really. And now it's an issue. You know, so who knows what's going to happen? Well, and even with Ivan and myself, did I think a year and a half later I'd still be sitting here talking about Ivan Warsaw?
Exactly.
No, I didn't. You know, I saw an issue at hand. I was tired of it. I took action, and he took it personal, and here we are.
And when we've got those things too with even the smaller guys, the junior heavyweights. You know, Soda Pop was carrying that belt for a while, and Tino Valentino upset him, and Tino is one of those guys that he's cocky, and,
Ooh,
and
man, he'll get
flamboyant.
underneath your skin.
But he's a very talented.
Incredibly talented.
And then you got Johnny Lyons, another guy who's the junior heavyweight that's in the middle of that mix. And Soda's still another guy that's out there chasing that thing again.
Yeah.
You know, and then now they've got some personal issues kind of going 3 different ways. And I think that makes wrestling interesting. It makes it fun. And as a guy on the other side of things, creative side of things, that makes it really fun for me because I can put these things together. It's like it's kind of like fantasy football, you know.
Yeah.
You know, except for it's real.
Yeah.
You know, I can go this guy. I put this guy over here, and we'll see how that works out. And you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, even in our women's division, I mean, look at Misty Marks and Christy Janes.
I was just about to bring that
Yeah.
up because that's something we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about our women, and Christy James, there she is. She's not only beautiful, but she is one heck of a competitor. And I've known Christy a long time. And she's one of those gals that'll do whatever she needs to do to hang on to her title, for sure. She can get a little rough.
Yeah.
But generally tries to follow the rules.
Yeah.
And you got Misty Marks there, and now we got the NWA getting involved, Markova.
She's incredible. Yeah.
That gal is unbelievable.
Yeah, tough as nails, man.
And crazy.
Yeah.
You talk about Ivan being crazy. This
Yeah.
gal will do anything. I mean, she's really fun to watch.
She is. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and she just has everything to be a star. I mean,
Yeah.
she has the looks, she has the personality, you know.
Now we got music going on.
That's right. It sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Just mention Markova and music starts.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, she is incredibly talented, you know. But that's the life of this kind of business. You know,
Yeah.
you never know. And sometimes that happens in wrestling. You think this guy's going to be really good. This match is going to be really good, and you go, wish I hadn't put that together.
Yeah.
You know, but that's life. That's where it works.
And sometimes maybe the chemistry's just not there. You know, you never know. Maybe somebody's just having a bad day. You never know.
Well,
what it is, but it
that could
happens.
be it. Yeah,
Yeah.
part of it. And some guys just don't mesh very well together.
Yeah.
You know, and I know you probably had that experience. a few
Yeah,
times.
you know, I've wrestled with someone before, and the first match, it's just like, man, what happened? Well, then
Yeah.
luckily, you know, we end up getting it again, and magic happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, just because it's a bad match once doesn't mean it can't be fixed, or
Yeah.
doesn't mean that guy's bad, or you know, maybe somebody could just be having a bad day.
Yeah,
But-
it could be a mindset.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause
Yeah.
something. Wrestlers are people.
And this is just as much mental as it is physical.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I
Like,
mean,
like I said, you know, you don't know what their life experience is going on with some people sometimes.
Yeah.
And there are times when you come to the arena and maybe something happened during the day that got you in a mood, one way or the other. You know, and you're just not there mentally.
Yeah.
You know, or something, and then that's tough as any kind of performer. You know, whether it's a competitor or performer or whatever. You know, I know when I was playing music, there'd be times when I just didn't feel it.
Yeah.
You know, you could have a decent night, but you wasn't special. You
Yeah.
know.
Right.
And then there's those nights when everything clicks and it feels so great.
Oh, yeah.
And it happens in wrestling and music or whatever. And boy, that's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, and it never fails. You know, you start, like you mentioned earlier, you start getting a little jaded and start feeling a little burnt out and like, oh, man, I don't know. And then you'll have that one night and it all clicks again. And then it just reels you right back in. And it just makes you realize, yep, I'm in the right place.
The most satisfying feeling in the world is walking out of the ring and knowing that you know, regardless of who won or who lost, that it all clicked. That the fans really got their money's worth, and you were a part of it, you know, and it's a special feeling that only people involved in competition sports or entertainment can feel.
Right.
And I'm sure people get that feeling with their job sometimes, but it's not it's not usually universally accepted as appeal. As something that everybody goes, yay! You don't get nobody claps for you when you walk off a job site. Usually. but those nights when you really know everything fit together and worked and the competition was good and regardless, like I said, regardless who won or who lost, fans got their money's worth. It's a special feeling.
Yeah, just knowing you did a job well done.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to have anybody tell you.
Yeah.
You just know.
Yeah.
You can tell by the reactions. You can tell by everything. You're like, I did my job today.
Yeah.
To the best that I could.
And you never know when that's going to happen or what brings that on.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And those are the nights that really affirms that we are capable of making memories that last a lifetime.
Yeah.
Those are those nights where we touch people, you know, and just like we sit here talking about Kerry Von Erich and Killer Tim Brooks, those kids are going to grow up. They're going to talk about Bam Bam. They're going to talk about Ivan Warsaw. They're going to, talk about Will Alday or Supertex or Damo. And that's magical. That's very powerful thing to deal with, and it's one of the things that makes me so happy being around such professionals that are mindful of that and hold true to those values.
It is a pretty amazing thing when you think about it. The world class days are. The biggest days were like 83, 84, 85, something like that. So it's you're talking about a lot of years ago, 40 years ago. And to think that people still have such memories of it and such a passion for some of that and some of those people that were involved in that makes you realize that you can make those memories for this generation of people, and hopefully that's what we do. That's what you want to do, and hopefully 40 years from now they'll some of these people that are watching us now will 40 years from now I'll probably be watching it from somewhere else.
Yeah.
but you hope that you should remember that way in some ways. Yeah. That you made some kind of impact.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm already reminded of that a little bit now. I live here in Forney, and I've been in the grocery store or somewhere around here, and it never fails, man. Little kid runs up to me, and bam, 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 and I just think I know how they feel in that moment because I did the same thing as a kid. Running up to somebody that you either watch perform live or you watch perform on TV. And how cool of a feeling that was for me. Right. So the fact that I'm now giving this child that feeling, and no matter what that child's going through, they could have had a bad day at school, but when they watch you perform, that makes them feel good. Then there's just nothing better. Dude. It is so cool.
It's a great feeling to hear that kind of feedback from people. And when we were doing global wrestling back in the late '80s, early '90s. It was on ESPN, and we think of ESPN as being this big, huge thing now, but back then it was just starting.
Yeah.
And we were on there every afternoon, usually I think around 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon or something, when kids coming home from school.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've been told by some middle-aged guy. I'm not saying that, which makes me feel really old, that, I used to watch you after school. That was my first thing I did when I come home from school. I'd do my homework. I would watch Global Wrestling on ESPN. Yeah. And it makes you realize what an effect and an impact you have on people. And I heard that all over the world, which made me realize what a big deal it is to be on there.
Oh, yeah. Y'all inspire people. I think we were all inspired at some point by someone in this industry. Mm-hmm. Whether it's, at the house show or at World Class or going to see Hulk Hogan, whatever, that doesn't change in this day and age either. There's no telling how many referees you might have inspired or how many kids you're going to inspire along the way to get into this business and try to be the best that they can be at something, which is not common. nowadays. You know, this is a magical sport, and like I love baseball and basketball and football and all that stuff, but pro wrestling's a little bit different. I like to tell people we're like the unicorn of sports.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we do. We make memories that last a lifetime. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you right now, the impact that it had on me as a child helped me get through everything. Whether I was playing football or anything, like in there lifting weight, like I'm doing this to be a wrestler, you know, and finding whatever inspiration to get you through anything. For me, it was those things. For some kids, it's just getting through everyday life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, this is that thing that they love and care about, and they might not love and care about anything else.
Well, and even if it's just an escapism type thing,
Yeah.
sometimes that's a value that you don't think about as much, but it's an important part of life sometimes to have a place you can go to in your own head.
Yeah.
You know, or
That's
whether
your
it's
happy
watching,
place.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
your
whatever it
escape.
is, and have a place that you can go to and just have that relief from everyday life, you know, and issues you're dealing with or whatever, and you hear that sometimes from people, you know, that this was my escape.
Yeah, and like I just want these kids to know, you know, no matter what path they choose in life, and you know, whether they want to be a professional wrestler, whether they want to be a doctor, you know, no matter what they do, I just hope that I can give them a little bit of inspiration to chase that as hard as they can, to pursue that as hard as they can. You get this one opportunity in life, and you can't make it mediocre.
Yeah.
You have to pursue this as hard as you can and for as long as you can.
And then there's a responsibility in that, you know, that I think as professionals, you in any business really, or any sport or whatever, that you have to kind of set that standard and hold to a standard, and hopefully that makes an impact on people and shows people that you can do this.
Yeah.
You know, you can be good at something.
Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't have to be this, but it can be anything. And you know, that's something that I've always taken a lot of pride in, in setting a standard and not ever letting anybody take that away from me. You know, there's a certain place I won't go to, you know, or I'm always trying to be better, but there's certain places I won't go to, and I think that's important.
You know, on this topic with the next generation, both of y'all, what would you tell a kid comes to TSW, he's about to turn 18, he wants to get into this industry? What's the advice you would give them?
I think first and foremost, I would tell him get in the absolute best shape possible. Now, that doesn't mean you have to have washboard abs. That doesn't mean you have to bench press 400 pounds, but get in the best shape possible before you get into the ring. Don't think about getting into the ring and then getting into the best shape possible, because that's how the quickest injuries happen. And before you even really get an opportunity to get started, you'll blow a knee running the ropes, and then you're a year off from even remotely getting started from this again. So
yeah, the physical part of that is really important. There's no question about that. And I think the other thing is that you find a reputable trainer, somebody who really understands as a professional in this business, and there's some good ones around. You know, there's some good ones here in Texas, and you know, and when you get a chance to maybe find a guy like a Tom Pritchard or somebody
Dr.
who's doing a clinic or something that, and in fact, Tom and Glenn Jacobs has a school up in Tennessee together now. I think Tom pretty much runs it, but and who wonder who Glenn Jacobs is? He's Kane.
Yeah.
But you know, they have a school up there, and you got the Monster Factory up there, Danny Kaye's, and then there's Dog Pound in San Antonio. Rudy Gonzalez has a place in San Antonio. There's some great trainers around.
Yeah, Booker's in Houston. Yeah,
Booker T's got one here in Dallas. There's a couple, you know, that are good, and you know, I think it's important that you find a reputable trainer first. You know,
absolutely.
Yeah, I work with a group, which is really a training promotion in Louisiana that friend Dan Davis, Dapper Dan in GWF has. He's got probably 20 students or so that I've been working with for the last 2 or 3 years, and it's amazing to watch how they progress. You know,
Yeah.
'cause when I first started with them, they knew the basics. Danny taught them, the basics. But now they're starting to really learn how to be wrestlers.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and it's kind of fun to watch them progress like that. And some of them come along faster than others. That's just the way it is. But it's important that you get good training. And then when you get that, put yourself in situations where you're around people who are really professional and are smart and have some kind of track record that you can rely on. You know, that you can learn how to take that next step. And that's the problem with a lot of independents, and they get to a certain point and they stay there because they're around people who are on that same level. And you need to be around people who are better than you, or more experienced than you. And you know, we've talked about that before, but that's very important in wrestling, especially.
Yeah, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
I know this last few weeks when we were at Big Spring, and Moonshine Mantell, Moonshine's in Kansas City training guys, and he brought down 2 of his students that had been working maybe a year, probably training 2 years, and you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
They did a fantastic job, and so that if you're up in Kansas City, look up Moonshine Mantell, get you ready to go. Him and Craig,
Craig Kiesman, Niles Plonk, he's another one of those guys that's
Plonk.
Plonk. I'm sorry, Plonk. But that's why we have guys like that around on our roster, right? Because we want some younger guys too who are coming along, and young guys and gals,
right?
But we want them to be exposed to people like that and who can give them a little guidance and tell them what they're doing wrong and help them take that next step.
Right.
You know, that's really been my whole goal in the last several years, is to be that guy, the guy that wants to try to bring some people along a little bit, and help them get a little bit better or find a path to make a career out of this if they're good enough.
Yeah.
Well, and seeing you do that too, you're leaving the business better than you found it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That, to me, that's pretty much the highest accomplishment you can have in this world. So, I know I always feel good when you're around at the show. I always feel safe.
Well, I appreciate that, but that's really is my goal, is to try to make. If I can make it better, I'm going to make it better, and try to help guys. Become real professionals.
Yeah.
And then there's a process of that. Right. It's more than just getting paid whatever you're getting paid. It's just about really learning the ropes and literally the ropes and learning how to deal not just in the ring but out of the ring.
Right. Yeah, and it's such a learning tree that I've been able to just sit under. Every time I'm in a TSW locker room.
Yeah.
Just the amount of years and years and years of experience that has been there. And I've been doing this 10 years, but that doesn't hold to, how long a lot of these guys have been doing this. And it's just, I'm extremely blessed to be surrounded by the men that I am and the women that I'm, that I'm surrounded with and get to learn from.
Yeah, and that's what we're all about, really.
Yeah.
We talked about jazz. I mean, you don't get any better than that.
No, not at all.
I don't care if you're male or female. She can teach you.
Man, I was so nervous the first time I met her. Oh my God, when I saw her and my eyes got real wide, and I was like, "That's jazz. Yeah, that is really jazz." And she couldn't have been any sweeter to me. But
she's sweet.
But I've stayed on her good side this far, and
that's a good idea.
Plan
good
to
place
keep
to
it
be.
that way. Yep, absolutely. Yep, I've heard the stories. Don't want any part of it. No, ma'am.
She's turned men and women into pretzels.
Yeah,
she can do it. I guarantee you.
Breaking noses and jazz is tough.
She was so tough. Watching her, and she just come off like so mean and tough, and then when you get around her, she's just a sweetheart.
Oh, absolutely.
Just a joy of a human being, to be her A+ human being.
Absolutely.
Her and Rodney both.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're wonderful people. They really are. And we got Tim Storm here, who's a former NWA world champion. We're not shy about our experienced people in the background. They're all part of it for a reason. It's not just window dressing. They're there to help, and that's what you see. You know, when you see a match in the ring and they come out of the ring and one of the guys grabs them and say, "Hey, look, you know, you should have done this, or you shouldn't have done that, or whatever. This is why you got your tail beat or whatever," you know, and you learn. That's how you learn.
Oh gosh, getting to learn from the people who have actually been there. I mean, Jazz had to follow Hulk Hogan and The Rock at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You know, like those type of positions. You have, who has those opportunities to work and ask those questions and be around those people? It's not common.
No.
You know, if you lived way up somewhere else in the U.S., like you're not getting this opportunity. You're not. You know, that's one of the other reasons Texas is the place to be.
She was the last WWF Women's Champion before they changed the name to WWE. The first WWE Women's Champion, and she won that twice. So she's a real deal.
Real deal.
Yeah, absolutely, and very very much a part of what we do here. And now with the NWA coming in. And Jazz being a part of that and part of what we're doing and bringing those NWA competitors, those ladies down here, the ladies division may get really exciting.
Yeah, very. I mean, yeah, those women are tough, man. They're in that position. They're with the NWA for a reason.
Yeah, they don't play around.
No,
Jazz won't have that.
Nuh-uh.
You know, that's the thing about they're not window dressing.
No,
they're competitors.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, they pack a lunch and come to work.
They absolutely do. Yes, they do. Yeah, and they're fun to watch, man. They get after it.
They do.
Yeah, we talked about Markova a little earlier. Man, the first time I saw her, I thought, this gal is nuts. I mean, just nuts.
Yep.
And she'd do anything.
Yep, the looks that kill.
Yeah. How can you be that pretty and that crazy? But, you know, that's it works.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, she's super, super athletic too, man.
Yeah.
And she just has star written all over her. You know, from the first time I saw her, and then, you know, when I saw her in the ring, I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, she's going to be huge.
And I'm excited about the prospect of once we get this thing established a little bit more, and we have somebody wearing that, and somebody wearing that, and being able to bring the NWA World Champion in.
Oh yeah.
You know, EC3 right now is the champion,
right?
And he's held on to it for a while, you know, and he's a heck of a competitor.
He is.
Tough guy.
Yeah, and he's another one that he's been there, done that everywhere.
Yeah,
you know, and he just has the years and years of experience.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of being in the ring with him a couple of times. He's a talented guy, and there's a lot of other guys up there that are chasing that.
Right,
chasing that big belt, you know, that'll be down here.
Yeah.
You know, some of the guys I was in the movie with, Silas Mason.
Oh yeah,
Crazy Silas.
No, Crazy Silas.
Thrill Billy.
Yeah, what a talented guy he is, and Brady Pierce.
Yeah,
another one of those guys that I'm looking forward to having them right here in our ring in TSW.
Oh yeah,
and it's going to be a lot of fun to see that kind of competition coming here too. That all that does is it just ups the ante for everybody.
Yeah, and it does. Yeah,
it really does, because if you don't step up, you're not going to be here. That's just the way it is.
Oh, there is something about the 10 pounds of gold is in the house. Just it makes you step it up a little bit.
Yeah,
I tell you, I've had the pleasure of being in the middle of quite a few NWA championships, and that. There's not hardly anything any more special than that in wrestling.
Yep.
I mean, the history goes back to 1948.
Right.
And the oldest championship around.
Yeah.
And at one time, the NWA covered the whole industry for the most part. And the legacy of it is, the history of it has always been very important to me. And it still is. And I'm just beside myself being proud of being able to be back a part of it again.
Yeah. And I'm extremely excited to be. This will be my first time, you know, really being affiliated with the NWA.
Yeah.
And so, you know, this is such a huge opportunity, not only for myself, but for everybody that's involved with TSW and what we have going on. And, you know, we've built it to this point, and I think it's going to flourish from here on out.
Yeah, and then let's just remember this. And first of all, let's remember our sponsors, Texas Select Beverages, and Bada Blanca, and Eddie Dean, and all those wonderful products and foods and all of that. And we appreciate them being our sponsors. And let's remember September the 26th, the open house here at the OC. And man, let me tell you, if you haven't been here and seen this place firsthand, look at that. Look at that. That's good stuff.
Oh, man. Eddie Dean's.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, they have it here at the OC, and then also Smoke Monkey in Rockwall is Eddie Dean's.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so,
great food, man.
yeah.
It's just incredible food, right? And it's right here in the mall. We got this right here in this facility. So, come out and even if you just want to kind of walk around and hang out and see what's here, and check out the food. There's a pastry place right next door to us.
Yep,
I don't know which
Bakery.
direction I'm pointing right now, but oh goodness gracious,
dude, if you need some sweets, yeah.
I always need sweets.
Oh, well, then head right over next door.
Next door. Yeah.
yeah, I gained 5 pounds just looking at that stuff. Yeah. But the 26th got the open house right here. The OC is called Opportunity Center. That's what this is.
Yep.
It's a most unique situation I've ever seen involving a school and business and a community. It's just hard to describe.
Yeah.
It really is.
I mean, until you see it for yourself, it really is.
What a great time to be a young person in school. What a great time.
And it's in 40.
Yeah.
Every community ought to have something like this.
Yeah.
I mean, really, because there are a lot of kids who go to school and reading, writing, and arithmetic, that's something you got to learn.
Yeah.
But all that other stuff that they require sometimes just doesn't fit your agenda for the rest of your life.
Exactly.
But you've got an opportunity here to, like right across the street here, or right across the aisle here, we've got Martin's Automotive.
Yeah.
That's actually a business.
Yeah.
I'm sure they've got another facility somewhere in town.
They do.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, they do. So this is like
they opened this up here, and it's actually like like you used to have a shop in auto class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the time I was in school, we didn't have automotive. That was out.
They got that here.
Yeah.
And so the kids come here and they learn how to work on cars, vehicles.
Yeah, they do full alignments. They do everything.
But they also learn how to run the business.
Exactly.
And that's just one of them. There's all kinds of businesses here that different things that kids can be involved in, restaurants.
Yep.
You name it. It's here. It's a wonderful place. You should come out here and spend all day long and have a good time.
Yeah.
Kids, you may never use a parallelogram in your life.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. You may never use that, but you're going to use the skills you get here at the OC.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sure. Yeah, you sure will. Algebra 2 may not come in handy, but that will. Yeah. But anyway, the 26th. Open house.
Yep, from 6 to 9.
We're going to be here. We're going to have everybody except Aaron. Aaron's going to be putting up a tombstone.
Oh yeah, Billy the Kid country, baby.
There you go. Yeah, but we'll be here with some NWA personnel and a lot of Texas style wrestling. Personnel will be here, and you'll get to see this studio, what we're using right now, and get a tour of the whole place, and take it in and see what we've been bragging about.
Yeah, and
we are bragging.
Yeah, and get a true behind the scenes feel.
We talk about Texas bragging about Texas. Buddy, we're bragging.
Yeah,
I guarantee you, we got something to brag about.
Yeah, and we absolutely do. I mean, this is. We can say it 1,000 times over and over again. This place is incredible, and until you get here and see it for yourself, you're not. It's not gonna. I mean, we can sit here and brag about it, but until you come and see it, then that's it.
And then on October the 12th, we've got the first official night of Texas style wrestling becoming a National Wrestling Alliance promotion. And I'm excited about that. We'll have some NWA competitors here, alongside of our own crew of guys that are normally here, and it's going to be an exciting night wrestling-wise.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that. I don't know who all is going to end up being here. We'll have all that out pretty soon. But you will be back from the Tombstone, I guess, back then.
Yeah, I'll be back by then for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll be out there 26th and the 27th, and we got to kick hard and jump gullies because I got a rodeo the next day.
Yeah, rodeo.
Lott, Texas.
Well, and 360 has an event in there you go. That's that.
Yeah, Bad Dog Bad. That was a few days ago.
Done.
A few days ago.
Done. Yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, we'll be headed September 7th to Rogers, Texas. The first time since the Von Erichs were there back in 1984, I believe.
I will be there.
And you will be there.
I will be there.
And then October the 19th will be in Bay City. And then I got a lot of rodeos.
Okay, October 19th.
Yeah.
That's after our
taping, yeah.
Yeah, and 12th. So the 19th we're in Bay City. That'll be fun. I'll be there too.
Be a lot of fun. And then
that's from one end of the place to the other.
It is. It looks like November's a real busy rodeo month for me. But then December, it's looking like
deer hunting.
Yeah, looks like December 28th will be in Sweetwater.
Right, Sweetwater.
Yeah,
I know somebody from Sweetwater.
Yeah, you do. It'd be some kind of a homecoming for somebody.
I do know somebody from Sweetwater. In fact, he's on his way up here to the OC right now. Just got a text from him, and that's another thing we're talking about on October 12th. We're planning on having a kind of a fan appreciation event before the matches that afternoon sometime. We haven't said all the details about it right now, but we're going to have some other Texas wrestling personnel here that we can get together with, plus our main people, and my buddy John Layfield, JBL, will be here, and we're gonna have a deal where the fans can come in and not just get autographs and kind of be an impersonal type situation, but they're going to be able to actually sit around and listen to us tell stories and ask questions, and it's going to be a really fun, intimate, personal type get together, something something that's unique in wrestling. Whereas a lot of fan fests, you just about all you can do is stand in line, get a picture signed, and then go on, or maybe a picture taken and go on. This is going to be a little different from that. It's going to be a lot more informal. We're going to probably have some food and some drinks and just kind of sit around and have a nice family get together with our fans.
Yeah.
And show them how it is when we're sitting in the car sometimes talking to each other.
Yeah, and we're gonna find out all the juicy stories.
All the juicy stories. Yeah, we're going to do all of that and everything, and there are a few of those.
Yeah.
And in fact, like I said, John's on his way up here right now. We're going to kind of tour the place and look at it a little bit and get an idea of how we're going to do all this. But I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Got to 26. The opening, the what before that, the 7th in Rogers, 360. The 26th, homecoming.
Yep, September 26th, 6 to 9.
October 12th, we got the big event, the big NWA grand opening, and the fan appreciation event before that. And then on the 19th.
And October 19th, we're in Bay City.
19th in Bay City.
Kind of hard to keep up with, isn't it? There's a lot going on.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look at my calendar, make sure I got all this down.
I'm sitting here thinking, do I have all this?
Now we've got. You think it's going to be on the 28th? And
it's looking like the December 28th, and then I think in January we're going to Temple. February we're in the Bumble Rumble 3. Or Bumble Rumble 2025.
Well, you're way out there now.
I have to live 2 weeks in advance, it seems like, in the schedule because it gets a little overwhelming.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to do. I've done a little promoting. I never did like it because it takes too much work. And I know I appreciate it. Yep. I appreciate what you do. I know how hard it is.
We on a gravy train with biscuit wheels.
Yeah, so that's why I try to make it as easy for the people who want to book me as possible.
Yeah.
To just try to make sure I do what they ask me to do and be there on time. And I know how hard work it is to promote these shows, and we appreciate you doing that.
Well, I appreciate
it's a big part of what we're doing.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys, and that's why I want to work with you every chance I get, and wish I could have everybody there all the time. pointing at Bam Bam.
Yeah, well,
But,
you know, when you're booked up all the time, it's
when
kind of
you're
hard
a top guy, you know.
it's hard to get some of these guys.
We're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen. 2025, we're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
You know, we're real fortunate here at TSW and as well at 360 to have an incredible team, and we're surrounded by such extraordinary professionals in so many different facets. Because I couldn't do it without my team at all. My team and my beautiful wife, Darian.
Oh, I love her. Yeah, she's a sweetheart. You overshot your coverage on that
God,
one,
yeah, I did.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I tell you, you got. I don't know how you got that lucky. Did you catch her on a bad night or something?
A bad night, a little bit of you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I caught that twinkle in her eye, I thought, well, I'm going to marry
You
this.
better take advantage of it now.
Better close the deal on this one.
Well, it's kind of like my dad used to say, "You done good, boy."
Mine tells me, don't screw this up.
That's exactly right. Well, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up for today. I appreciate both of you being here, and you know, I'm looking forward to the next time. And you know, Aaron, anytime you come back and be with us, come back and be with us, man.
I will be here every chance I can.
All right. Well, good luck and get out there and promote that show.
I'm gonna promote it. I'm gonna promote it so hard that everybody in the world is going to show up. Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl. Get ready.
Bam,
Let's do it.
you get ready for it, boy. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna be after that little belt
absolutely.
right here before
I mean,
too long.
yeah. My mindset has turned completely towards that, and you know, I'm locked in, focused, training hard in the gym, making sure I'm ready for when the opportunity comes.
I know you've had a little bit of an injury. You've been kind of nursing a little bit. So
Yeah, but you know, if you've been doing this any amount of time and then somebody tells you they're 100% healthy, they're lying to you.
yeah.
None of us are 100% healthy.
You're always working with
Nope.
something.
So we're always working through something, but
Yeah.
we'll be good.
Yeah, good deal. Well, I'm looking forward to the next time we get together.
Sir.
Next week, and I'm going to head out to Las Vegas next week, and we'll see how things go.
Sure, we'll have some good stories from there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys. We'll do a good night, and have a good one. Be safe. All right.
Yes, sir. We'll see you next week.
All right. Bye bye.